Hello there and welcome to Sleepy Animal Fact. Make yourself comfortable now. Let your breathing slow, let your muscles relax, and allow your mind to drift gently as we begin a peaceful journey through the wonderful world of elephants. There is no need to remember everything you hear. Simply let the words wash over you like a gentle stream, and if sleep finds you along the way, that is perfectly fine. The elephants will still be here, moving slowly through their ancient story, whenever you are ready to listen. If these gentle journeys bring you peace, consider leaving a kind word, sharing this moment with another, or joining our growing herd of quiet dreamers. But for now, let your breath soften. Allow your body to grow heavy. Let us begin at the very beginning, in a time so distant it seems almost like a dream. 55 million years ago, long before elephants roamed the savannas and forests we know today, their earliest ancestors walked upon the earth. These creatures looked nothing like the magnificent giants we picture when we think of elephants. They were small, humble animals, roughly the size of a fox. Imagine that for a moment. A creature no larger than a fox, padding softly through dense prehistoric forests, completely unaware of the extraordinary descendants it would one day have. One of these ancient ancestors was called Erytherium, and it lived in a world very different from our own. The continents were still shifting into their familiar positions. The climate was warmer, the forests thick and lush. Erytherium had no trunk, no great tusks, no towering frame. It was simply a small forest dweller, moving quietly among the undergrowth, nibbling on low-growing plants and going about its gentle existence. There is something deeply peaceful about imagining this tiny creature, the humble beginning of such a grand lineage. Over millions upon millions of years, the world changed. Climates shifted gradually, as climates do, sometimes warming, sometimes cooling, reshaping the landscape in ways both subtle and profound. The forests that once covered much of the land began to give way to more open spaces, to grasslands and savannas. And as the world changed, so too did the descendants of those small forest creatures. They began to grow larger. Slowly, generation after generation, they increased in size, adapting to the new challenges and opportunities of their changing environment. This transformation did not happen overnight. Evolution works patiently, across timescales almost impossible for us to truly comprehend. But over those vast stretches of time, the ancestors of modern elephants underwent remarkable changes. Their limbs began to elongate, growing stronger and more column-like to support their increasing weight. Their skulls expanded, becoming larger and more robust. Their necks, interestingly, began to shorten. When you are a small animal, a long neck helps you reach the ground to feed. But as these creatures grew taller and heavier, a different solution was needed. And so, perhaps the most wondrous adaptation of all began to emerge. The trunk, that extraordinary appendage that makes elephants so unique among all the animals on Earth. The trunk evolved gradually, forming from the upper lip and nose, extending and becoming more flexible, more dexterous, more sensitive over countless generations. This remarkable organ allowed these growing giants to reach high vegetation, to pluck leaves and branches from tall trees without needing to bend their increasingly massive bodies or maintain a long, heavy neck. It was an elegant solution, developed through the patient work of natural selection across the ages. The trunk became so much more than just a tool for feeding, of course. It became an instrument of communication, of affection, of exploration. But in those early days, its primary purpose was simple and practical. It allowed these magnificent creatures to access food that other animals could not reach, to thrive in a changing world, to grow ever larger and more successful. And so the proboscideans, the order of animals that includes elephants and their relatives, continued their slow march through evolutionary time. Let your thoughts drift now as we move from those ancient days to the present, where elephants still walk the earth in 3 distinct species. 3 living branches of that ancient family tree, each beautiful in its own way. There is the African bush elephant, also called the savanna elephant, the largest of all. There is the African forest elephant, slightly smaller, adapted to life among the dense trees of the African rainforests. And there is the Asian elephant, found across parts of South and Southeast Asia, different in subtle but significant ways from its African cousins. The African bush elephant is the largest land animal on Earth today. Take a moment to appreciate that simple fact. Of all the creatures that walk upon the land, none is larger. A big African male can stand 3 to 4 meters tall at the shoulder. That is roughly the height of a single-story building. Their weight is measured in tons, several tons of bone and muscle, and that remarkable gray skin. They are true giants, yet they move with a surprising grace, their great feet carrying them across vast distances with a quiet dignity. These elephants in the wild can live to be 60 or 70 years old. Imagine a life spanning 7 decades, lived beneath the African sun and stars, moving with family groups across landscapes that have known elephants for millions of years. Researchers have found ways to learn about these long lives by studying the tusks of elephants. Like the rings of a tree, the tusks contain layers that record the passage of time. Each year leaves its mark, and within those rings, scientists can read the story of an elephant's life. These tusk rings reveal periods of hardship and plenty. A drought that gripped the land for a long season leaves a different mark than a year of abundant rains and rich feeding. Researchers can identify stressful events, times when food was scarce or when the elephant faced other challenges. In some tragic cases, they can even detect the stress caused by poaching events, the trauma of losing family members to human violence. The tusks become a kind of diary, written in calcium and ivory, telling the story of a life lived in a complex and sometimes difficult world. But let us turn now to something gentler, to the quiet miracle of the elephant's body and how it supports such tremendous size. When you consider that these animals can weigh several tons, you might wonder how their legs can possibly bear such weight without breaking. The answer lies in the elegant engineering of their bones. Deep within those great pillar-like legs, the bones have evolved a structure that is both strong and surprisingly light. The leg bones of elephants feature honeycomb-like structures within them. Imagine the inside of a beehive with its intricate pattern of hexagonal cells. The bone tissue is arranged in a similar way, creating a network of tiny spaces that reduce the overall weight of the bone while maintaining its strength. This is the same principle that engineers use when designing bridges and buildings, creating strong structures that do not waste material or add unnecessary weight. Nature discovered this principle long before humans did, and elephants carry the evidence within their very bones. This honeycomb structure allows elephant bones to support those massive bodies without fracturing under the tremendous force of gravity. Every step an elephant takes places enormous stress on its skeleton, Yet the bones hold firm year after year, decade after decade. It is a quiet marvel of biological engineering, hidden beneath the skin, rarely seen but always working. And consider the elephant's feet, those broad, padded foundations that carry them across the landscape. As the ancestors of elephants grew larger over evolutionary time, their feet evolved to become broader, spreading the weight across a larger surface area. This broader design provides stability on varied terrain, from soft mud to rocky ground, from sandy desert to dense forest floor. Inside each foot is a cushioning pad of fatty tissue that acts like a natural shock absorber, softening each step and protecting the bones and joints from impact. When elephants walk, they do so with a surprising quietness for animals of such size. Those padded feet muffle their footsteps, allowing them to move through their environment almost silently when they choose to. There is something magical about imagining a creature weighing several tons moving as quietly as a whisper through the twilight, its broad feet pressing gently into the earth. Now let us travel in our minds to Asia, where a different branch of the elephant family has its home. Asian elephants have their own remarkable story, one that scientists are still working to fully understand. Genetic studies have revealed that Asian elephant populations form distinct clusters, groups that separated from one another thousands upon thousands of years ago and have been following their own evolutionary paths ever since. The elephants of Borneo, that great forested island in Southeast Asia, represent one such distinct group. Genetic evidence suggests that the Bornean population diverged from other Asian elephants around 170,000 years ago. For 170,000 years, these elephants have been living their own separate existence, adapting to the unique conditions of their island home, slowly becoming different from their relatives elsewhere. Then there are the elephants of Sumatra, another great island, confirmed as a distinct subspecies through genetic analysis. And the elephants of Sri Lanka, that island nation off the coast of India, which split from mainland populations around 48,000 years ago. Each of these island populations has its own character, its own genetic heritage, its own subtle differences shaped by thousands of years of separate evolution. The Bornean elephant population carries within its genes the signature of difficult times in the not-so-distant past. Scientists have detected evidence of severe population bottlenecks, periods when the number of elephants dropped dramatically, perhaps to just a few individuals. These bottlenecks occurred relatively recently in evolutionary terms, just 8 to 38 generations ago. A generation for an elephant spans many years, so we are speaking of events within the last few centuries, times when the Bornean elephant population was pushed to the very edge of survival. That these elephants survived such bottlenecks and are still with us today is a small miracle. Their genes carry the memory of those hard times, a reduced diversity that tells the story of near extinction and slow recovery. When you think of the elephants of Borneo, you might hold a gentle thought for their resilience, their quiet persistence against difficult odds. Evolution continues even now, of course. It is not something that happened only in the distant past. Elephants are still changing, still adapting to the pressures of their environment, including the pressures created by humans. In areas where poaching has been severe, where elephants with large tusks have been hunted for their ivory, a remarkable shift has been observed. More and more female elephants are being born without tusks. This is evolution in action, happening before our eyes. In populations that have experienced heavy poaching, tuskless females are becoming more common. The genes that reduce tusk development are being passed from mother to daughter, spreading through the population because elephants without tusks are more likely to survive and reproduce. It is a bittersweet example of natural selection. The elephants are adapting, finding a way to survive in a world that has become dangerous for those who carry ivory. But it is also a reminder of the pressures these magnificent animals face. Let this thought settle gently as you rest. The elephants endure. They adapt. They have survived ice ages and climate shifts, the rise and fall of countless other species, and they continue on, moving slowly across their landscapes, caring for their young, remembering their dead, living their long and remarkable lives. And now, as this first part of our journey comes to a close, allow yourself to drift a little deeper into relaxation. The elephants will continue their patient walk through time, and we will continue with them, learning more about their lives, their behaviors, their quiet wonders. But for now, just breathe. Let your body grow heavier. Let your thoughts grow lighter, and know that all is well. The elephants are still out there, beneath stars and sun, walking the ancient paths their ancestors walked, carrying within them the story of 55 million years. And that story continues as gently and surely as your own breath. In and out, peaceful and slow. Let yourself settle deeper now as we continue our gentle exploration of elephants and their remarkable lives. Your breath is slow and easy, your body is comfortable, and there is nowhere else you need to be. The world outside can wait. For now, we are simply here, learning about these gentle giants, letting the words carry us along like a leaf floating on a calm river. In our first chapter, we spoke of how elephant feet evolved to become broader, providing stability for their massive bodies. But there is more to these wonderful feet than simple breadth, more hidden engineering that deserves our quiet attention. Beneath the tough outer skin of each elephant foot lies a fatty, spring-like pad, a cushion of specialized tissue that does something quite extraordinary with every step the elephant takes. When an elephant places its foot upon the ground, this pad compresses under the tremendous weight, absorbing the impact, cushioning the bones and joints from the shock of each footfall. But then, as the elephant lifts its foot to take another step, the pad does something remarkable. It recoils, springing back to its original shape, and in doing so, it helps propel the body forward. Each step becomes a little easier because of this natural spring, this hidden mechanism that gives back some of the energy that was put into it. Consider how far elephants walk each day. In the wild, an elephant might travel up to 20 kilometers in a single day, searching for food and water, moving between grazing areas, following ancient paths that their ancestors walked before them. 20 kilometers is a long way for any creature, but for an animal weighing several tons, it is an especially impressive feat. Those spring-like foot pads make this possible, cushioning and propelling, step after step, kilometer after kilometer, day after day, year after year. Imagine the elephant walking now, in the soft light of early morning or the golden glow of late afternoon. Each footstep is quiet, cushioned by those remarkable pads. The great body moves forward with a rhythm as steady as a heartbeat, as natural as breathing. There is no hurry in the elephant's walk. There is only the journey, the endless gentle journey across the landscape. But walking for such long distances and standing for so many hours each day presents a challenge that the elephant's body has solved in an elegant way. Elephants spend as many as 18 hours a day on their feet, They do not lie down to rest as often as many other animals. They stand through the heat of the day and the cool of the night, their pillar-like legs supporting their weight for hour after patient hour. When we stand for long periods, gravity tries to pull our blood downward, pooling it in our legs and feet. This is why our legs can ache and swell after a long day of standing. But elephants, standing for 18 hours at a time, seem to suffer no such problem. The secret lies in their veins. Within those great columnar legs, the veins contain special valves that prevent blood from pooling. These venous valves work against gravity, ensuring that blood continues to flow properly back up toward the heart, even after hours and hours of standing. It is a small detail, hidden deep within the elephant's body, but it is a perfect example of how every part of these animals has been refined by millions of years of evolution. Nothing is accidental. Every structure, every system has been shaped by the quiet pressure of natural selection, solving problems that we might never even think to consider. And speaking of the heart, let us turn our attention there now, to that vital organ that beats within the elephant's great chest. An elephant's heart is a four-chambered marvel, just like our own hearts, but on a scale that takes the breath away. The heart of a large elephant can weigh up to 20 kilograms. 20 kilograms of muscle, contracting and relaxing, pumping blood through that enormous body, keeping life flowing to every distant corner. Yet despite its size, the elephant's heart beats slowly, far more slowly than a human heart. A resting elephant's heart might beat only 30 times per minute, compared to the 60 to 100 beats of a human heart. This slow, steady rhythm is perfectly suited to the elephant's way of life. It optimizes the delivery of oxygen throughout the body, supporting the elephant's remarkable endurance, its ability to walk those 20 kilometers a day, day after day, without exhaustion. There is something deeply peaceful about imagining that slow heartbeat. 30 beats per minute, one beat every 2 seconds, a rhythm as measured and patient as the elephant itself. In a world that often seems to move too fast, there is comfort in knowing that somewhere out there, great hearts are beating slowly, steadily, without hurry or worry. But the elephant faces a unique challenge when it comes to circulation. Its brain is held high above its heart, elevated at the top of that long body. Pumping blood upward against gravity to reach the brain requires considerable force. And so, elephants have evolved to maintain blood pressure that is remarkably high, up to 3 times higher than what scientists would expect for an animal of their size. This elevated pressure ensures that oxygenated blood reaches the brain without fail, keeping those remarkable minds alert and active. It is a solution that might seem extreme, but it works perfectly for the elephant. Every system in the body is adapted to support this high pressure, to use it effectively without causing harm. The elephant's body is a symphony of interconnected solutions, each part supporting the others, all working together in quiet harmony. Now consider what happens when an elephant needs to run. Despite their size, elephants can move surprisingly quickly when they need to, reaching speeds of up to 30 kilometers per hour in a charge. But running requires a sudden burst of oxygen, more than that slow-beating heart might seem able to provide. How does the elephant manage this? The answer lies in a clever trick of biology involving the spleen. The elephant's spleen stores red blood cells, those tiny carriers of oxygen that flow through the bloodstream. During normal activity, this reserve sits quietly in storage, But when the elephant needs to sprint, when it needs that sudden boost of energy and oxygen, the spleen releases its stored red blood cells into the bloodstream. Oxygen delivery surges, compensating for the low baseline heart rate, giving the elephant the burst of energy it needs. It is like having a reserve tank of fuel, held in readiness for moments when extra power is required. Most of the time, the elephant cruises along efficiently on its slow heartbeat and steady circulation. But when the situation demands it, those reserves are there, ready to be called upon. Then, when the sprint is over, life returns to its gentle, measured pace. Let your own breathing remain slow and easy as we consider another remarkable aspect of elephant anatomy. The way elephants breathe is unlike any other mammal on Earth. Most mammals, including humans, breathe using a diaphragm, that dome-shaped muscle beneath the lungs that contracts and relaxes to draw air in and push it out. But elephants have taken a different path. In elephants, the lungs attach directly to the rib cage through fibrous tissue. There is no diaphragm doing the work of breathing. Instead, the muscles between the ribs contract and expand, moving the rib cage itself, and the lungs, attached as they are, follow along. This arrangement allows for forceful breathing, powerful inhalations and exhalations that serve the elephant well. This unique system is found in no other mammal. It is a special adaptation, another example of how elephants have evolved their own solutions to the challenges of being the largest animals on land. When you think of an elephant breathing, think of those great ribs expanding and contracting, the lungs moving with them, air flowing in and out through that extraordinary trunk. Ah, the trunk. We must speak more of the trunk, for it is perhaps the most wondrous part of the elephant's body. In our first chapter, we mentioned how the trunk evolved to allow elephants to reach high vegetation. But let us now appreciate it more fully, for the trunk is so much more than a simple tool for reaching leaves. An elephant's trunk is actually a fusion of two things we think of as separate. It is the nose and the upper lip combined into a single miraculous appendage. The nostrils run through its length, allowing the elephant to breathe and smell through its trunk. But those same nostrils can draw up water for drinking, holding liters at a time before squirting it into the mouth. The trunk can pluck a single blade of grass or strip bark from a tree. It can caress a calf or deliver a powerful blow in defense. Can reach high into the branches or probe deep into the earth. And here is something magical to imagine. When elephants swim, they use their trunks as snorkels. An elephant crossing a deep river might be completely submerged, walking along the bottom, invisible beneath the water, with only the tip of its trunk breaking the surface to draw in air. Think of that image as you drift. A great elephant, hidden beneath the waters, breathing calmly through its trunk, crossing to the far shore with patience and confidence. The trunk contains thousands of muscles. Not dozens, not hundreds, but thousands. These muscles work together in concert, allowing for movements of extraordinary precision and power. An elephant can use its trunk to lift heavy logs, or to pick up objects as small as a peanut. It can trumpet loudly in alarm or breathe almost silently while resting. The range of control is astonishing. But how does the elephant manage all those muscles with such precision? Part of the answer lies in a structure called the hyoid bone. In elephants, the hyoid bones are unique. They feature fused cartilage plates that anchor over 100 of those trunk muscles. This arrangement provides a stable base for muscle attachment, enabling precise control without requiring rigid skeletal support throughout the trunk itself. Think of it like the foundation of a building. The muscles need something solid to pull against, something stable to anchor them. The hyoid bones, with their fused cartilage plates, provide exactly that. They allow the trunk to remain flexible and fluid in its movements while still giving the muscles the leverage they need. It is elegant engineering, hidden away inside the elephant's body, doing its quiet work. And consider the elephant's head, that great skull that must support the trunk's movements. Every time an elephant extends its trunk, reaches upward, pulls branches toward its mouth, there are forces acting on the head, trying to tip it forward. A lesser design might leave the elephant constantly straining its neck muscles just to keep its head balanced. But evolution has provided a better solution. The elephant's skull contains pneumatic cavities, pockets of air within the bone structure. These cavities reduce the weight of the head by about 15%. 15% less weight to balance, 15% less strain on the neck, 15% more efficiency in every movement. The skull remains strong enough to anchor the trunk muscles, but it is not burdened by unnecessary weight. And running from the back of the skull down along the spine are thick, powerful ligaments called nuchal ligaments. These ligaments span about 2 meters, connecting the skull to the vertebrae of the back. They act like strong elastic bands, helping to support the weight of the head without requiring the neck muscles to work constantly. When an elephant charges at 30 kilometers per hour, its head remains stable, supported by these ligaments, balanced by that lightened skull. The elephant can run without its head bouncing or swaying uncomfortably, without exhausting its neck muscles. All of these systems work together quietly and constantly. The spring-like foot pads, the venous valves, the slow, strong heart, the spleen's oxygen reserves, the unique breathing system, the magnificent trunk with its hyoid anchors, the pneumatic skull, the stabilizing ligaments. Each part supports the others. Each part has its role to play. As you rest now, imagine the elephant standing peacefully in the fading light of evening. His great heart beats slowly in its chest. Its blood flows smoothly through its veins. Its lungs expand and contract with the movement of its ribs. Its trunk sways gently, perhaps reaching for one more mouthful of leaves before the night settles in. Everything is working as it should, as it has worked for millions of years, as it will work for as long as elephants walk the earth. There is no hurry. There is no struggle. There is only the quiet miracle of a body perfectly adapted to its way of life. And in that quiet miracle, perhaps there is something for us to learn. Something about patience. Something about finding our own rhythm. Something about trusting that everything we need is already within us, working quietly, keeping us alive and well. Rest now. Let your own heart beat at its own pace. Let your own breath flow easily. The elephants are out there somewhere doing the same, and all is well. Allow yourself to sink a little deeper now, settling into wherever you are resting. Your body knows how to relax. Your mind knows how to let go. There is nothing you need to do except listen. If you wish, or simply let the words become a gentle background as you drift towards sleep. We are still with the elephants, still learning about their quiet wonders, still finding peace in their patient way of being. In our last chapter, we spoke of the elephant's trunk, that magnificent fusion of nose and upper lip, with its thousands of muscles and extraordinary range of movement. But we have only begun to appreciate what this remarkable appendage can do. For the trunk is not just strong and flexible. It is also exquisitely sensitive, capable of perceiving the world in ways that might surprise you. Within the tip of the elephant's trunk, and also within certain areas of the ribs, there are specialized structures called Meissner's corpuscles. These are tiny sensory receptors designed to detect the finest vibrations and the gentlest pressures. When an elephant touches something with the tip of its trunk, these corpuscles send detailed information to the brain about texture, shape, and movement. The sensitivity is remarkable, allowing for precise manipulation of objects as small as a single peanut. Imagine an elephant at a feeding station, faced with a pile of food that includes small treats mixed among larger items. That great trunk, powerful enough to lift heavy logs, can delicately sort through the pile and pluck out a single peanut, holding it gently, placing it carefully into the waiting mouth. The same appendage that can push over a tree can handle the most delicate task with grace and precision. This is possible because of those Meissner's corpuscles, because of the incredible density of nerve endings in the trunk tip, because of millions of years of evolution refining this organ into something truly extraordinary. When an elephant explores an unfamiliar object, it does so with a sensitivity that rivals our own fingertips, perhaps even exceeds it in some ways. And there is more. Around the trunk tip, in the area that corresponds to the upper lip, there are whiskers. Not the long, obvious whiskers you might picture on a cat, but fine, sensitive hairs, densely packed together. Scientists have found that these whiskers number over 1,500 per square centimeter. 1,500 tiny sensors in each small patch of skin, each one capable of detecting the slightest touch, the finest texture. These whiskers provide what researchers call micron-level texture discrimination. A micron is 1,000th of a millimeter, a measurement so small it is difficult to imagine. Yet the elephant's trunk can distinguish between textures at this incredibly fine scale. This allows the elephant to select the tenderest shoots from among a mass of vegetation, to find the most nutritious leaves, to reject anything that does not feel quite right. Think of an elephant moving through a thicket, its trunk exploring the branches, the whiskers brushing against leaves and stems. In an instant, the elephant knows which plants are worth eating, which are too tough, which are perhaps wilted or damaged. All of this information flows from those thousands of whiskers, processed by that remarkable brain, guiding the elephant's choices as it feeds. Now let us consider another distinctive feature of the elephant, one that has captured human attention for thousands of years: the tusks. Those long, curved columns of ivory that extend from either side of the face, gleaming pale against the gray skin. Tusks are not horns or antlers. They are teeth. Specifically, they are enlarged upper incisor teeth, the same teeth that in humans are the flat ones at the front of our mouths, used for biting into food. Tusks serve many purposes in an elephant's daily life. They are tools for digging, helping the elephant excavate water holes in dry riverbeds or unearth roots and tubers from the soil. They are used for stripping bark from trees, revealing the nutritious layers beneath. They help the elephant move obstacles, break branches, and manipulate its environment. And when necessary, they serve as weapons, used in confrontations with rivals or in defense against threats. Not all elephants have tusks of the same size. In some populations and among some individuals, tusks are smaller or even absent. As we mentioned earlier, in areas where poaching has been severe, tuskless elephants have become more common, their genes favored by the harsh reality of human hunting. But where elephants live in safety, tusks remain a defining feature, tools and symbols of these magnificent creatures. But elephants do not rely only on their tusks as tools. They are capable of creating tools of their own, using their intelligence and their trunks to craft implements for specific purposes. This is something that scientists once thought was unique to humans and perhaps a few of our closest primate relatives. But elephants have proven themselves to be problem solvers of remarkable ability. Elephants have been observed crafting fly swatters from branches. They select an appropriate branch, break it to the right length, and use it to swat at the insects that plague them. They strip bark from trees to create back scratchers, reaching those itchy spots that even the flexible trunk cannot quite access. They have even been seen using stones as tools, digging with them to access water or salt deposits. What makes this behavior even more remarkable is that it is not purely instinctive. It is learned. It is passed down through generations within herds. Young elephants watch their mothers and aunts and older siblings using tools, and they learn to do the same. Each generation builds upon the knowledge of those who came before, preserving and perhaps even improving upon techniques that have proven useful. This is a form of culture, a transmission of knowledge that goes beyond genetics. It speaks to the intelligence of elephants, to their ability to learn and remember and teach. It reminds us that we share this planet with other minds, other beings who think and solve problems and pass their wisdom to their children. Let this thought rest gently in your mind as we turn now to another aspect of the elephant's body, one that seems simple at first but reveals hidden complexities. The skin, that gray, wrinkled covering that is so distinctive, so iconic in its appearance. When we think of elephant skin, we might imagine something thick and tough like armor, impervious to the world. But the truth is more subtle, more interesting, more wonderful. Elephant skin, though it looks thick and tough, is actually remarkably sensitive. Can feel the lightest touch, the gentlest breeze. It responds to the world with a delicacy that belies its rugged appearance. And covering the skin, scattered sparsely across its surface, are wiry hairs. Not a thick coat like a bear or a dog, but individual hairs, each one serving a purpose. These hairs help conduct heat away from the body. In the hot environments where many elephants live, staying cool is a constant challenge. The sparse, wiry hairs act as tiny conduits, helping to transfer heat from the skin to the surrounding air. It is a subtle adaptation, easily overlooked, but it plays its part in the elephant's ongoing effort to regulate its body temperature. And the skin itself participates in cooling in a way that might surprise you. Elephants do not have sweat glands like humans do. They cannot cool themselves by perspiring, but their skin loses water at rates comparable to amphibians, those moist-skinned creatures like frogs and salamanders. This water loss happens directly through the skin, evaporating into the air, and as it evaporates, it carries heat away from the body. This is called transcutaneous evaporative cooling, a technical term for a beautifully simple process. The skin breathes out moisture, and the elephant stays cooler. It is not as efficient as sweating, perhaps, but it works, especially when combined with other cooling strategies that elephants employ. The most visible of these strategies involves those great ears, those magnificent fan-shaped appendages that are so much larger in African elephants than in their Asian cousins. Elephant ears are not just for hearing, though they do that job wonderfully well. They are also radiators, cooling systems that help regulate the elephant's body temperature. Within those thin, broad ears, There is an intricate network of blood vessels, carrying warm blood close to the surface of the skin. When an elephant flaps its ears, it moves air over this network, cooling the blood as it passes. The cooled blood then flows back into the body, carrying that coolness with it, lowering the overall body temperature. Picture an elephant on a hot afternoon, standing in the shade of an acacia tree, slowly flapping its great ears back and forth. There is something hypnotic about this movement, something peaceful and rhythmic. But it is not just a gesture of contentment. It is active thermoregulation, the elephant working to keep itself comfortable in the heat of the day. The blood vessels in the ears do something remarkable as well. They can oscillate, expanding and contracting independently of the heartbeat. This means the elephant can fine-tune the amount of heat being released through the ears at any given moment. As temperatures fluctuate throughout the day, rising toward noon and falling in the evening, the blood vessels adjust, modulating heat transfer through the skin, keeping the elephant's internal temperature stable. This is sophisticated temperature control, a system that responds dynamically to changing conditions. It happens automatically, without conscious thought, the elephant's body constantly monitoring and adjusting, keeping everything in balance. It is another example of the quiet, elegant engineering that defines these animals. But elephants do not only need to stay cool. In some environments, at certain times, they also need to stay warm. The open grasslands and savannas where many elephants live can experience significant temperature drops at night. The same landscape that bakes under the afternoon sun can become surprisingly cold in the hours before dawn. To cope with this, elephants have developed an interesting adaptation in certain areas of their bodies. Around the temporal glands, located on the sides of the head between the eyes and ears, elephants accumulate insulating blubber. This layer of fatty tissue can reach up to 10 centimeters thick, providing a buffer against those overnight temperature drops. Think of it as a built-in blanket, concentrated in a sensitive area of the body, keeping the elephant warm through the cool night hours. As the stars will overhead and the temperature falls, the elephant rests easy, insulated by this layer of blubber, waiting for the sun to rise again. And there is one more gift that the elephant's skin provides, one more hidden wonder to appreciate before we rest. The skin follicles, those tiny structures from which the sparse hairs grow, secrete a substance called sebum. This oily secretion coats the skin, keeping it supple and protected. But in elephants, this sebum has an additional property. It contains compounds with antibiotic qualities, natural chemicals that help repel parasites. The elephant's skin is deeply wrinkled, folded into valleys and ridges that trap moisture and provide habitat for any number of tiny creatures that might wish to make their home there. But the sebum, spreading across the skin and collecting in those wrinkle valleys, creates an inhospitable environment for parasites. It is a natural defense, a chemical barrier that keeps the elephant's skin healthy without any conscious effort on the elephant's part. So even the wrinkles, those deep folds that give the elephant's skin its characteristic appearance, are part of a larger system. They increase the surface area of the skin, helping with cooling. They trap the sebum where it is needed most. They give the elephant its ancient, wise appearance, as if it has lived long enough to earn every fold and crease. And perhaps, in a way, it has. Elephants live long lives, as we have discussed. They accumulate experience and wisdom. They remember, they teach, They carry the knowledge of their ancestors within them, in their behavior, in their culture, and in every carefully evolved structure of their remarkable bodies. As you rest now, let your own skin relax. Feel the air around you, the temperature of the room, the gentle weight of whatever covers you. Your body, too, knows how to regulate itself, how to keep you comfortable, how to take care of you while you sleep. Trust in that quiet wisdom. The elephants are out there, somewhere in the world, their great ears slowly fanning in the warmth, their wrinkled skin breathing moisture into the air, their sensitive trunks exploring the world with delicate precision. They are at peace with their environment, perfectly adapted, quietly magnificent. And you can be at peace too. Let your breath slow. Let your thoughts drift. Let sleep come when it is ready. There is no hurry. There is only this moment, this rest, this gentle journey through the world of elephants. And all is well. Let yourself continue to rest now, sinking even deeper into comfort. Your breathing has found its own gentle rhythm, easy and natural, like the slow sway of branches in a soft breeze. There is nothing demanding your attention, nothing pulling at your thoughts. Just this moment, this peace, and the continuing story of elephants moving quietly through their world. We have explored how elephants are built, the remarkable engineering of their bodies, the sensitivity of their trunks and skin. Now let us turn to something even more fundamental, something that occupies more of an elephant's day than any other activity: eating. For elephants are creatures of appetite, devoted to the patient, endless work of finding and consuming food. Elephants are plant eaters, herbivores of the most dedicated kind. They consume no meat, hunt no prey. Their great bodies are sustained entirely by the green-growing things of the world: grass and leaves, bark and roots, fruits and flowers. The elephant moves through its landscape like a gentle harvester, gathering what the earth provides, transforming plant matter into the energy needed to power that massive frame. And the quantities are astonishing. An elephant can consume hundreds of kilograms of vegetation in a single day. Hundreds of kilograms. Imagine that. Imagine the sheer volume of grass and leaves that must pass through that trunk, into that mouth, to sustain such a large body. It is a number almost difficult to comprehend, yet for the elephant it is simply daily life, the normal rhythm of existence. This is why elephants spend so much of their time feeding. Well over half of each day is devoted to the search for food and the act of eating. While we might spend an hour or less on our meals, the elephant is almost always eating, or looking for the next thing to eat, or moving toward a place where food can be found. The trunk reaches, grasps, pulls, delivers. The great jaws grind, and slowly, steadily, the elephant takes in the nourishment it needs. There is something meditative about imagining this constant, gentle feeding. No rush, no urgency, just the steady rhythm of consumption. Reach and pull, chew and swallow. The elephant moves a few steps, finds another clump of grass, another branch of leaves. Reach and pull, chew and swallow. Hour after hour, as the sun tracks across the sky, as the shadows lengthen and shorten and lengthen again. And what goes in must eventually come out. The elephant's digestive system processes all that vegetation, extracting what nutrients it can, and produces a remarkable quantity of waste. More than a ton of dung per week. A ton. It seems almost impossible, but consider how much is going in, and it begins to make sense. The elephant is a processing machine, converting vast quantities of plant matter into energy and waste. But that waste is not simply discarded and forgotten. Elephant dung plays a vital role in the ecosystem. It is rich in seeds from the fruits and plants the elephant has eaten, seeds that pass through the digestive system unharmed and are deposited far from the parent plant, ready to germinate in a new location. Elephants are gardeners without knowing it, spreading seeds across the landscape, helping plants colonize new areas, maintaining the diversity of the forests and savannas. The dung also fertilizes the soil, returning nutrients to the earth, feeding the microorganisms and insects that break it down further. Where elephants walk, the land is richer for their passing. Their dung supports beetles and birds, fungi and bacteria. It becomes part of the cycle of life, transformed and recycled, giving back to the ecosystem that sustains the elephant. Now let us consider how the elephant manages all this eating, all this grinding of tough, fibrous plant material. Our human teeth would wear down quickly if we tried to live on such a diet. But elephants have evolved a remarkable solution, a system for replacing their teeth that is unlike anything found in humans. Elephants do not have rows of teeth like we do, with all our teeth present from early adulthood, expected to last a lifetime. Instead, they have what scientists describe as a conveyor belt system for their molars. New teeth grow at the back of the jaw and slowly move forward over time. As the front teeth wear down from years of grinding tough vegetation, they eventually fall out and are replaced by the teeth coming from behind. These molars are large and ridged, covered with lamellae, those raised ridges that help grind plant material into digestible pieces. Each new tooth that moves forward has fresh, sharp ridges, ready to take over the work of processing the elephant's endless meals. Over a lifetime, an elephant will go through 6 sets of these molars, each set serving for years before wearing down and being replaced. This is different from how teeth are arranged in humans and most other mammals. Our teeth are oriented vertically, rooted in our jaws, permanent after our childhood teeth fall out. But the elephant's teeth are arranged horizontally, sliding forward through the jaw like items on a slow-moving conveyor belt. It is a system perfectly adapted to a life of constant grinding, constant processing of tough, fibrous plants. When the final set of molars wears down, usually when an elephant is quite old, the animal can no longer chew its food effectively. This is often what limits an elephant's lifespan in the wild. Those 6 sets of teeth, each lasting for years, carry the elephant through decades of life, but eventually they are exhausted. It is a reminder of the quiet limits that nature places on even the mightiest creatures. But while those teeth are working, they are feeding a digestive system of remarkable sophistication. The elephant's stomach is not a simple single chamber like our own. It contains multiple chambers, each playing a role in breaking down the tough plant material that makes up the elephant's diet. Within these chambers live countless microorganisms, bacteria and other tiny creatures that have evolved to work alongside the elephant. These are not invaders or parasites. They are partners, symbiotic organisms that help the elephant extract nutrients from food that would otherwise be indigestible. The plant material that elephants eat is rich in cellulose, the tough structural fiber that gives plants their rigidity. Cellulose is notoriously difficult to digest. Most animals, including humans, cannot break it down at all. But the symbiotic bacteria in the elephant's gut can. They ferment the cellulose, breaking it down into simpler compounds called volatile fatty acids. These fatty acids are then absorbed by the elephant's body and used as fuel. Up to 70% of the elephant's caloric needs can be met this way through the work of those tiny bacterial partners fermenting cellulose into usable energy. It is a remarkable partnership, invisible to the eye but essential to the elephant's survival. This is how elephants can thrive on what might seem like poor quality forage. Tough grasses, fibrous bark, leaves that other animals might ignore. The elephant's digestive system, working together with its microbial partners, can extract nourishment from sources that would leave other herbivores hungry. It is not a highly efficient system in terms of absorption rates, but it works well enough when you are eating hundreds of kilograms of food each day. And the elephant's digestive abilities extend beyond simply breaking down cellulose. Elephants have evolved specialized gut enzymes that can neutralize toxins found in many plants. The plant world is full of chemical defenses, compounds that plants produce to discourage animals from eating them. Bitter alkaloids, irritating tannins, outright poisons. Many plants that look green and lush are actually well protected against herbivory. But elephants can eat many of these plants without harm. Their gut enzymes break down and neutralize the toxins, allowing them to thrive on vegetation that would sicken other animals. This opens up a wider range of food sources, allowing elephants to exploit plants that their competitors cannot tolerate. It is another quiet advantage, another way that evolution has equipped these animals to succeed. Some elephant populations have even learned to supplement their diet in ways that help with this detoxification process. They practice a form of self-medication, seeking out and eating soil that is rich in particular minerals. This mineral-rich soil, consumed deliberately, helps the elephants neutralize toxins from poisonous plants they may have eaten. This is not random behavior. It is targeted, purposeful. The elephants know where to find these special soils. Knowledge passed down through generations, from mother to daughter, from older females to younger ones. They travel to these locations specifically to eat the soil, sometimes digging into the earth to reach the right layers. It is another example of elephant intelligence and culture, knowledge preserved and transmitted across time. But prevention is often better than cure, and elephants have ways of avoiding toxic plants in the first place. Their tongues are equipped with specialized receptors that can detect bitterness in plants. Bitterness is often a warning sign in the plant world, an indication of alkaloids and other potentially harmful compounds. The elephant's tongue acts as a first line of defense, tasting and evaluating before committing to swallow. When an elephant encounters a plant that triggers these bitter receptors, it will often reject the food, dropping it and moving on to something safer. This happens instinctively without conscious thought, a built-in protection system that helps the elephant avoid harmful substances. At the same time, these taste receptors help the elephant identify nutrient-rich options, guiding it toward the most beneficial foods. So the elephant is not simply eating randomly, stuffing whatever it can find into its mouth. It is selecting, choosing, discriminating between foods based on taste and texture. That sensitive trunk, those thousands of whiskers we discussed earlier, that discerning tongue, all work together to help the elephant find the best possible nutrition in its environment. And when the elephant finds fruit, a special treat in its largely leafy diet, another digestive adaptation comes into play. Elephants produce high levels of amylase, an enzyme that breaks down starches into sugars. When fruit is consumed, this amylase goes to work rapidly, converting the starches in the fruit into glucose that can be quickly absorbed. This provides the elephant with a burst of quick energy, a boost of glucose that can fuel active foraging. While the slow fermentation of cellulose provides a steady background supply of energy, fruit offers something faster, something more immediate. The elephant's system is prepared for both, able to extract sustained energy from tough vegetation and quick energy from sweeter treats. Imagine the elephant finding a grove of fruiting trees, the ground scattered with fallen bounty. The trunk reaches down, gathering fruit, lifting it to the mouth. The sweet taste signals the arrival of quick energy, and the body responds, enzymes flooding forth to capture every bit of available nutrition. It is a small pleasure in the elephant's day, a moment of sweetness amid the endless grinding of grass and leaves. And so the elephant's day passes, moving from food source to food source, always eating, always processing, always sustained by this remarkable digestive system. The teeth grind, the stomach ferments, the bacteria work their quiet magic, the enzymes neutralize and convert. The body is fueled, the dung is deposited, the seeds are spread, the soil is enriched. There is a completeness to this cycle, a sense of everything being connected. The elephant takes from the land, but it also gives back. It shapes its environment as much as it is shaped by it. The forests and savannas are different because elephants walk through them, and the elephants are who they are because of the forests and savannas. As you rest now, let yourself appreciate this interconnection. You too are part of cycles, part of systems larger than yourself. Your breath takes in oxygen and releases carbon dioxide. Your body processes food and returns nutrients to the world. You are connected to everything around you, just as the elephant is connected to its environment. Let this thought be comforting rather than overwhelming. You belong. You are part of something ancient and ongoing. And like the elephant, you have everything you need to sustain yourself, to rest, to renew, to continue. The elephants are still feeding somewhere in the world, as they have fed for millions of years. And you are here, breathing slowly, resting peacefully, letting sleep approach at its own gentle pace. All is well. All is connected. All continues as it should. Rest now, and let your body grow heavier against whatever supports you. Your muscles can release their tension. Your thoughts can slow their pace. We are still here with the elephants, still walking alongside them through the gentle landscape of knowledge. There is no destination we must reach, no test we must pass. Only the quiet pleasure of learning, of imagining, of drifting peacefully through facts that connect us to these remarkable beings. We have spoken of how elephants eat, of the vast quantities of vegetation they consume, of the symbiotic bacteria that help them extract energy from tough plant fibers. But there is more to say about how the elephant's body processes its food, more hidden marvels working quietly within. The elephant's liver is a massive organ, as befits an animal of such size. But beyond its size, this liver performs a crucial function that allows elephants to eat plants that would poison other large herbivores. It detoxifies alkaloids, those bitter chemical compounds that many plants produce as a defense against being eaten. Where other animals might sicken and die from consuming such plants, the elephant's liver neutralizes the threat, breaking down the dangerous compounds into harmless substances. This is not a small advantage. It means that elephants can browse on vegetation that their competitors cannot touch. While other herbivores must avoid certain plants or suffer the consequences, Elephants move through the landscape with a kind of chemical immunity, their great livers working steadily to render safe what would otherwise be harmful. It opens up a wider menu, a greater range of food sources, helping elephants survive in environments where pickier eaters might struggle. And consider what happens as the elephant eats. Much of the vegetation in the elephant's diet is gritty, coated with dust and fine particles of soil, full of tiny abrasive substances that could damage the soft tissues of the mouth over time. Eating hundreds of kilograms of such material each day would seem to invite injury. But the elephant has a solution for this as well. The parotid glands, those salivary glands located near the jaw, are enlarged in elephants. They produce a thick, viscous saliva that coats the food as it is chewed. This saliva acts as a lubricant and a protective barrier, reducing the abrasive effect of gritty vegetation on the delicate tissues of the mouth. Each mouthful is wrapped in this viscous coating, smoothed and softened, made safer for the long journey through the digestive system. It is such a simple solution, yet so effective. The elephant does not need to be careful about what it eats, does not need to shake the dust from every leaf or avoid sandy soil. The saliva takes care of it automatically without thought or effort. The great jaws grind on, protected by this constant flow of lubricating fluid. There is another curious detail about the elephant's digestive system, something that distinguishes it from many other mammals. Elephants lack a gallbladder. In most animals, the gallbladder stores bile, that greenish fluid produced by the liver that helps digest fats. The gallbladder holds this bile and releases it when fatty food arrives, providing a concentrated burst of digestive assistance. But elephants have no such storage organ. Instead, they store bile directly in the liver itself, and it flows steadily into the digestive system rather than being released in concentrated bursts. This arrangement suits the elephant's eating habits well. Elephants do not eat regular, predictable meals. They graze and browse constantly, with fruit feasts happening irregularly when they encounter fruiting trees. The steady flow of bile from the liver means that the elephant is always ready to process fats, always prepared for whatever food happens to come its way. There is no need to wait for the gallbladder to respond, no delay between eating and digesting. The system runs continuously, smoothly, matching the elephant's continuous, irregular pattern of food intake. Let your thoughts drift now from digestion to something even more essential to survival. Water. In the landscapes where elephants live, water is not always easy to find. Rivers run dry in the heat of summer. Waterholes shrink to muddy puddles. The rains may fail for a season or longer. In such times, knowing where to find water can mean the difference between life and death. This is where the elephant's remarkable memory becomes crucial. Elephants remember. They remember where water can be found, not just today or this season, but over many years, even decades. A matriarch leading her family group carries within her mind a map of the landscape, a memory of every waterhole, every seep, every place where water might be found even in the driest times. This memory is built over a lifetime of experience. The matriarch was once a calf, following her own mother, learning the locations of water sources. As she grew, she added her own observations, her own experiences. Now, as the leader of her family, she draws upon all of this accumulated knowledge to guide her group to water when they need it most. During droughts, when other animals may wander desperately in search of moisture, elephant families follow their matriarchs to remembered places. A water hole that dried up last year might still have water beneath the surface. A riverbed that looks completely dry might yield moisture if you know exactly where to dig. The matriarch knows these things because she remembers, because she has lived long and paid attention, because her own mother taught her and she has continued to learn. And elephants do dig for water. This is one of their most remarkable behaviors, one that benefits not only themselves but countless other animals as well. When a riverbed or waterhole has dried on the surface, elephants will use their feet and trunks to excavate deep wells, digging down through sand and mud to reach the water table below. The trunk scoops away loose material. The great feet stamp and push, breaking up compacted soil. Slowly, patiently, the elephant digs deeper, until at last water begins to seep into the bottom of the hole. It may not be much at first, just a trickle, a dampening of the sand. But the elephant waits, and more water seeps in, and eventually there is enough to drink. These elephant-dug wells can be remarkably deep, reaching water that no other animal could access. Other creatures, from baboons to lions, from birds to insects, will come to drink from wells that elephants have created. The elephants are engineers of the savanna, providers of water in times of scarcity. Their digging benefiting entire communities of life. But even with memory and the ability to dig wells, water remains precious in the elephant's world. And so elephants have evolved a special structure that helps them make the most of every drink. Deep in the throat, there is a pouch called the pharyngeal pouch, a pocket of tissue that can store water for later use. When an elephant drinks, some of the water goes directly to the stomach, but some can be held in this pharyngeal pouch. It serves as an emergency reserve, a canteen carried within the body. When the elephant is far from water, when the next drink may be hours or even days away, this stored water can be accessed, providing a crucial buffer against dehydration. But the pharyngeal pouch serves another purpose as well. Elephants use this stored water to cool themselves and their calves. On hot days, an elephant might reach its trunk into its own throat, draw out water from the pouch, and spray it over its body or the body of a calf. The evaporating water provides cooling relief from the heat, a portable sprinkler system carried within. There is something tender about imagining a mother elephant spraying her calf with water from her own throat pouch, cooling the little one in the heat of midday. It speaks to the care that elephants show for their young, the thoughtful ways they use their remarkable bodies to protect and nurture the next generation. And there is yet another function for this versatile pouch. It plays a role in the production of the low-frequency rumbles that elephants use to communicate over long distances. These rumbles, some of them too low for human ears to hear, can travel for kilometers across the landscape, carrying messages between family members who may be far apart. The pharyngeal pouch helps shape these sounds, acting as a resonating chamber that gives the rumbles their distinctive quality. When an elephant calls to a distant relative, when a mother communicates with her grown daughter who is kilometers away, the pharyngeal pouch is part of what makes that communication possible. Water storage, cooling system, and voice box, all in one remarkable structure. In desert environments, where water is even more scarce and precious, elephants have adapted further. Desert elephants, those populations that live in the most arid landscapes, possess enlarged pharyngeal pouches that can hold up to 24 liters of water. 24 liters is a substantial reserve, enough to sustain the elephant through prolonged periods without access to fresh water. These desert elephants are specialists in survival. They have learned to travel vast distances between water sources, sometimes walking for days across parched landscapes. Their enlarged pouches give them the buffer they need, the emergency reserve that allows them to reach the next waterhole before dehydration becomes critical. But the pharyngeal pouch is not the only adaptation that helps elephants survive in arid conditions. Their kidneys, those essential organs that filter the blood and produce urine, have evolved remarkable abilities to conserve water. In most animals, urine carries away waste products dissolved in water. The more water in the urine, the more dilute it is. But when water is scarce, producing dilute urine is wasteful. Every drop of water lost in urine is a drop that could have kept the body hydrated. Elephant kidneys can concentrate urine to an extraordinary degree. In arid conditions, they produce what scientists call hypertonic solutions, urine that is far saltier than seawater. This means that very little water is lost along with the waste products. The kidneys extract almost every available drop, returning it to the body, allowing the elephant to survive on minimal water intake. This is a remarkable feat of biological engineering. Seawater is itself quite salty, too salty for humans to drink without becoming more dehydrated. Yet elephant urine in dry conditions can be saltier still, a testament to how powerfully those kidneys can concentrate waste products. And the kidneys have another trick for conserving resources. They can reabsorb urea from urine through specialized structures called kidney loops. Urea is a waste product of protein metabolism, normally excreted in urine. But in arid conditions, when every molecule counts, the elephant's kidneys reclaim this urea and return it to the body. This maximizes nitrogen retention, keeping valuable nitrogen atoms within the body rather than discarding them. It also reduces water loss, since less urine needs to be produced to excrete the same amount of waste. The kidney loops work quietly, constantly, optimizing the elephant's water use in environments where water is the most precious resource of all. These adaptations allow elephants to live in places that might seem impossibly harsh. Desert landscapes where rain may not fall for months, where temperatures soar during the day and plummet at night, where other large animals would struggle to survive. The elephants walk on, their memories guiding them to water, their pouches storing reserves, their kidneys conserving every drop. As you rest now, consider the wisdom of the elephant's body. It knows how to survive. It knows how to conserve, how to store, how to remember. These are not conscious decisions, but the accumulated wisdom of millions of years of evolution, encoded in every cell, working automatically to keep the elephant alive and well. Your own body has its own wisdom, too. As you sleep, it will regulate your temperature, manage your hydration, process the nutrients from your last meal. It will repair and restore, working through the night to prepare you for tomorrow. You do not need to guide these processes. They happen on their own, as naturally as the elephant's kidneys concentrate urine or its pharyngeal pouch stores water. Trust in that wisdom. Let your body do what it knows how to do, and rest peacefully as the elephants rest in the cool of the night, their great bodies quietly maintaining themselves, ready for another day of walking and feeding and living their ancient, patient lives. All is well. The water will be there when it is needed. The memory will guide the way, and sleep will come, as gently and surely as water seeping into an elephant's well, rising from the depths, bringing refreshment and renewal. Settle deeper now into stillness. Let your shoulders drop. Let your jaw soften. Let the small muscles around your eyes release any tension they might be holding. We are continuing our peaceful journey through the world of elephants, and in this chapter, we will explore how these gentle giants perceive their world and speak to one another across vast distances. It is a world of sounds and vibrations, of sense and subtle signals, richer and more complex than we might ever have imagined. When we think of elephant sounds, we often picture the trumpet, that dramatic blast that elephants produce in moments of excitement or alarm. It is an iconic sound, instantly recognizable, full of power and presence. But the trumpet is only one voice in the elephant's extensive vocabulary. These animals are far more talkative than that single famous call might suggest. Elephants produce over 70 distinct vocalizations, 70 different sounds, each carrying its own meaning, each serving its own purpose in the complex social life of the herd. There are rumbles and snorts, roars and barks, cries and croaks. Each sound conveys specific emotions or intentions to other herd members. A mother might rumble gently to reassure her calf. A matriarch might produce a particular call to signal that it is time to move on. A young male might trumpet in excitement during play. Learning to understand these vocalizations takes time, both for the elephants themselves and for the researchers who study them. Baby elephants must learn what different calls mean, must come to understand the nuances of elephant communication, just as human children learn the subtleties of language. And scientists who spend years with elephant families gradually come to recognize individual calls, to understand what is being communicated, to appreciate the richness of elephant conversation. But here is something remarkable. Many of the sounds that elephants make are beyond the range of human hearing. We cannot perceive them at all, no matter how close we stand. These are called infrasonic sounds, rumbles so deep and low that they fall below the threshold of what our ears can detect. We might feel them, perhaps, as a subtle vibration in our chest, but we would not hear them as sound. For elephants, these infrasonic rumbles are a crucial part of communication. They travel much farther than higher-pitched sounds, rolling across the landscape, carrying messages for kilometers. When an elephant family is spread out across the savanna, when individuals are far apart and cannot see one another, these low rumbles keep them connected. A matriarch can call to family members who are miles away, and they will hear her, even though a human standing beside her would hear nothing at all. This is communication on a scale we rarely consider. We think of conversation as something that happens face to face, or perhaps over a telephone line. But elephants converse across vast distances, their voices traveling through the air, unheard by most other creatures, private and powerful. And the air is not the only medium through which these rumbles travel. The deep vibrations of elephant calls also pass through the ground itself, spreading outward like ripples on a pond. The earth carries these seismic signals for remarkable distances, and elephants have evolved to detect them. The feet of elephants are exquisitely sensitive to vibrations. We spoke earlier of the fatty pads that cushion each step, but those pads also serve as sensors. When vibrations travel through the ground, the elephant's feet pick them up, transmitting the information to the brain. Through their feet, elephants can feel the rumbles of distant family members, even when the sounds traveling through the air have faded to nothing. This ability extends the range of elephant communication even further. Infrasonic rumbles traveling through the ground can reach elephants up to 10 miles away. 10 miles is a vast distance, especially in landscapes where visual contact is impossible due to terrain or vegetation. Yet through these seismic signals, elephants can coordinate their movements, can stay connected as a family, can share information about water, food, or danger. The trunks of elephants also play a role in detecting these vibrations. That sensitive appendage, with its thousands of nerve endings and its Meissner's corpuscles, can feel vibrations traveling through the ground when placed against the earth. An elephant might stand still, trunk tip pressed to the soil, listening with its body to messages traveling through the ground from far away. Imagine the elephant now, standing quietly on the savanna, feeling the earth beneath its feet, sensing vibrations that tell of distant relatives, of approaching herds, of movements and messages invisible to the eye. The world is alive with signals that we cannot perceive, a constant flow of information traveling through the ground, connecting elephants across the landscape. And these seismic senses can detect more than just the calls of other elephants. The feet act as sensors for approaching threats as well. The footsteps of a predator, the rumble of vehicles, any vibration traveling through the earth can alert the elephant to potential danger. It is an early warning system, operating constantly, keeping the elephant informed of its environment. But perhaps the most remarkable use of this seismic sensing involves something that seems almost magical. Elephants can detect rainstorms from over 150 miles away. 150 miles. That is a distance that would take a human days to walk, yet elephants can sense storms approaching from that far away. They do this through a combination of infrasound traveling through the air and seismic vibrations traveling through the ground. Storms produce deep rumbles of thunder, sounds so low that they can travel vast distances without dissipating. These rumbles reach the elephants long before the clouds appear on the horizon, long before any rain falls on the parched earth. When drought grips the land, when water is scarce and survival is uncertain, this ability is invaluable. The elephants sense the distant storm and begin to move toward it, walking for days if necessary, guided by vibrations in the earth and sounds too low for us to hear. They arrive as the rains fall, finding water and fresh vegetation, their mysterious knowledge saving them once again. There is something almost mystical about this, yet it is simply the result of millions of years of evolution, of senses refined beyond anything humans possess. The elephants feel the world in ways we cannot, hear sounds we cannot hear, sense vibrations we cannot detect. Their world is larger than ours, richer in information, connected across distances we would find hard to comprehend. And then there is smell. If the elephant's hearing is remarkable, its sense of smell is truly extraordinary. Elephants possess the largest olfactory center in the animal kingdom. That part of the brain devoted to processing smell is proportionally larger in elephants than in any other animal yet studied. This makes sense when you consider that elephants have over 2,000 genes devoted to detecting scents. 2,000. Humans, by comparison, have fewer than 400. The elephant's nose, that long trunk constantly sampling the air, is connected to a brain superbly equipped to interpret what it finds. With this powerful sense of smell, elephants can identify individual family members by scent alone. Each elephant has its own unique odor signature, as distinctive as a fingerprint, and other elephants can recognize it instantly. A mother knows her calf by smell. A matriarch recognizes the members of her family. Even elephants who have been separated for years can identify each other when they meet again, their trunks intertwining as they confirm through scent what their memories have held. Beyond recognizing individuals, elephants can smell water from miles away. In dry landscapes, where water is hidden in distant valleys or buried beneath dry riverbeds, this ability is crucial. The trunk lifts, sampling the air, and the elephant knows where to find moisture, even when no visible clues exist. They can also detect predators from great distances, the scent of lions or humans carried on the wind, giving the elephants time to take protective action. The trunk is constantly working, constantly reading the air, constantly gathering information about the world. Now let us return to those magnificent ears, which we have discussed before as tools for cooling the blood. But the ears serve another purpose as well, one related to communication. Each elephant's ears have unique patterns of veins running through them, visible against the thin skin when light shines through. These patterns are as individual as human fingerprints, allowing researchers to identify individual elephants. But the elephants themselves may use their ears for visual communication. When an elephant flaps its ears in certain ways, particularly in an aggressive or warning display, the movement is visible from a great distance. On the open savanna, where elephants might be separated by considerable space, these visual signals can convey warnings to distant herd members. The great ears spread wide, catching the light, moving in distinctive patterns. Other elephants, watching from afar, can see this display and understand its meaning. Come quickly, danger approaches. Stay alert. The ears speak across the distance, a visual language complementing the acoustic one. Let us turn now to the elephant's eyes, those small, gentle orbs set in that great gray face. Compared to the elephant's body, the eyes seem modest, almost delicate, but they are well adapted to the elephant's way of life, equipped with features that help these animals navigate their world. Behind the retina of the elephant's eye lies a layer called the tapetum lucidum. This is a reflective surface that bounces light back through the retina, giving the light-sensitive cells a second chance to detect it. It is the same structure that makes a cat's eyes glow in the dark when light shines into them. For elephants, this layer enhances night vision, allowing them to see more clearly in the dim light of dusk and dawn, or during nighttime foraging. Elephants are not strictly diurnal animals. They may be active at any hour, and this enhanced night vision helps them navigate and feed even when darkness has fallen. This is communication on a scale we rarely consider. We think of conversation as something that happens face to face, or perhaps over a telephone line. But elephants converse across vast distances, their voices traveling through the air, unheard by most other creatures, private and powerful. And the air is not the only medium through which these rumbles travel. The deep vibrations of elephant calls also pass through the ground itself, spreading outward like ripples on a pond. The earth carries these seismic signals for remarkable distances, and elephants have evolved to detect them. The feet of elephants are exquisitely sensitive to vibrations. We spoke earlier of the fatty pads that cushion each step, but those pads also serve as sensors. When vibrations travel through the ground, the elephant's feet pick them up, transmitting the information to the brain. Through their feet, elephants can feel the rumbles of distant family members, even when the sounds traveling through the air have faded to nothing. This ability extends the range of elephant communication even further. Infrasonic rumbles traveling through the ground can reach elephants up to 10 miles away. 10 miles is a vast distance, especially in landscapes where visual contact is impossible due to terrain or vegetation. Yet through these seismic signals, elephants can coordinate their movements, can stay connected as a family, can share information about water, food, or danger. The trunks of elephants also play a role in detecting these vibrations. That sensitive appendage, with its thousands of nerve endings and its Meissner's corpuscles, can feel vibrations traveling through the ground when placed against the earth. An elephant might stand still, trunk tip pressed to the soil, listening with its body to messages traveling through the ground from far away. Imagine the elephant now, standing quietly on the savanna, feeling the earth beneath its feet, sensing vibrations that tell of distant relatives, of approaching herds, of movements and messages invisible to the eye. The world is alive with signals that we cannot perceive, a constant flow of information traveling through the ground, connecting elephants across the landscape. And these seismic senses can detect more than just the calls of other elephants. The feet act as sensors for approaching threats as well. The footsteps of a predator, the rumble of vehicles, any vibration traveling through the earth can alert the elephant to potential danger. It is an early warning system, operating constantly, keeping the elephant informed of its environment. But perhaps the most remarkable use of this seismic sensing involves something that seems almost magical. Elephants can detect rainstorms from over 150 miles away. 150 miles. That is a distance that would take a human days to walk, yet elephants can sense storms approaching from that far away. They do this through a combination of infrasound traveling through the air and seismic vibrations traveling through the ground. Storms produce deep rumbles of thunder, sounds so low that they can travel vast distances without dissipating. These rumbles reach the elephants long before the clouds appear on the horizon, long before any rain falls on the parched earth. When drought grips the land, when water is scarce and survival is uncertain, this ability is invaluable. The elephants sense the distant storm and begin to move toward it, walking for days if necessary, guided by vibrations in the earth and sounds too low for us to hear. They arrive as the rains fall, finding water and fresh vegetation, their mysterious knowledge saving them once again. There is something almost mystical about this, yet it is simply the result of millions of years of evolution, of senses refined beyond anything humans possess. The elephants feel the world in ways we cannot, hear sounds we cannot hear, sense vibrations we cannot detect. Their world is larger than ours, richer in information, connected across distances we would find hard to comprehend. And then there is smell. If the elephant's hearing is remarkable, its sense of smell is truly extraordinary. Elephants possess the largest olfactory center in the animal kingdom. That part of the brain devoted to processing smell is proportionally larger in elephants than in any other animal yet studied. This makes sense when you consider that elephants have over 2,000 genes devoted to detecting scents. 2,000. Humans, by comparison, have fewer than 400. The elephant's nose, that long trunk constantly sampling the air, is connected to a brain superbly equipped to interpret what it finds. With this powerful sense of smell, elephants can identify individual family members by scent alone. Each elephant has its own unique odor signature, as distinctive as a fingerprint, and other elephants can recognize it instantly. A mother knows her calf by smell, A matriarch recognizes the members of her family. Even elephants who have been separated for years can identify each other when they meet again, their trunks intertwining as they confirm through scent what their memories have held. Beyond recognizing individuals, elephants can smell water from miles away. In dry landscapes, where water is hidden in distant valleys or buried beneath dry riverbeds, this ability is crucial. The trunk lifts, sampling the air, and the elephant knows where to find moisture, even when no visible clues exist. They can also detect predators from great distances, the scent of lions or humans carried on the wind, giving the elephants time to take protective action. The trunk is constantly working, constantly reading the air, constantly gathering information about the world. Now let us return to those magnificent ears, which we have discussed before as tools for cooling the blood. But the ears serve another purpose as well, one related to communication. Each elephant's ears have unique patterns of veins running through them, visible against the thin skin when light shines through. These patterns are as individual as human fingerprints, allowing researchers to identify individual elephants. But the elephants themselves may use their ears for visual communication. When an elephant flaps its ears in certain ways, particularly in an aggressive or warning display, the movement is visible from a great distance. On the open savanna, where elephants might be separated by considerable space, these visual signals can convey warnings to distant herd members. The great ears spread wide, catching the light, moving in distinctive patterns. Other elephants, watching from afar, can see this display and understand its meaning. Come quickly, danger approaches, stay alert. The ears speak across the distance, a visual language complementing the acoustic one. Let us turn now to the elephant's eyes, those small, gentle orbs set in that great gray face. Compared to the elephant's body, the eyes seem modest, almost delicate, but they are well adapted to the elephant's way of life, equipped with features that help these animals navigate their world. Behind the retina of the elephant's eye lies a layer called the tapetum lucidum. This is a reflective surface that bounces light back through the retina, giving the light-sensitive cells a second chance to detect it. It is the same structure that makes a cat's eyes glow in the dark when light shines into them. For elephants, this layer enhances night vision, allowing them to see more clearly in the dim light of dusk and dawn, or during nighttime foraging. Elephants are not strictly diurnal animals. They may be active at any hour, and this enhanced night vision helps them navigate and feed even when darkness has fallen. Their color perception, however, is limited. Elephants see the world primarily in blues and greens, lacking the ability to perceive the full spectrum of colors that humans enjoy. But this limited palette is sufficient for their needs. The greens of vegetation, the blues of sky and water, these are the colors that matter most in the elephant's world. The pupils of elephant eyes are shaped differently from our own round ones. They are elongated horizontally, like slits stretched from side to side. This shape maximizes the amount of light that can enter the eye across a wide field of view. On the broad savannas where many elephants live, this horizontal orientation helps them scan the landscape efficiently, watching for predators or other elephants at dawn or dusk when light is limited. Those horizontal pupils take in the wide sweep of the horizon, alert to movement, sensitive to changes in the landscape. It is another quiet adaptation, another way the elephant's body is perfectly suited to its environment. And finally, let us consider one more sensory gift that elephants possess. At the tips of their trunks and at the ends of their tails, sparse bristles grow. These are not ordinary hairs. They are tactile sensors, nerve-rich structures that can detect the slightest movements in the air. These bristles sense air currents, feeling the subtle flows and eddies that carry information across the landscape. A change in wind direction might bring a new scent. A particular current might indicate the location of distant food or the presence of other elephants. The bristles read these currents, adding one more layer of information to the elephant's understanding of its world. Imagine the elephant standing on the savanna now, its trunk raised slightly, the bristles at its tip sensing the air. Information flows in from every direction. The feet feel vibrations in the ground. The ears catch sounds both high and low. The nose samples countless scents. The eyes scan the horizon, and those delicate bristles feel the movement of the air itself. All of these senses work together, creating a picture of the world far more complete than anything we humans experience. The elephant knows things we cannot know, perceives things we cannot perceive, lives in a sensory universe that overlaps with ours but extends far beyond it. As you rest now, imagine what it might be like to sense the world as an elephant does, to feel the ground speak beneath your feet, to smell water from miles away, to hear the voices of your family traveling through the earth, to feel the distant rumble of a storm that will not arrive for days. There is comfort in knowing that such perception exists, that the world contains wonders beyond our own experience, that creatures like elephants move through a reality richer than we can fully understand. We do not need to perceive everything. We do not need to know everything. We can rest in the knowledge that the world is vast and full of mystery, and that is good. Let your own senses soften now. Let the sounds around you become gentle and unimportant. Let the world fade to a comfortable distance. The elephants are out there, sensing their world, communicating across the miles, feeling the earth and reading the air. And you are here, safe and peaceful, drifting towards sleep. All is well. The night is quiet, and somewhere, an elephant raises its trunk to the wind, sensing things we will never know, living its ancient and remarkable life. Rest now, and let that thought carry you gently toward dreams. Let yourself drift a little deeper now, as we enter perhaps the most tender part of our journey through the world of elephants. We have explored their bodies, their senses, their remarkable adaptations for survival. Now we turn to something harder to measure but no less real: the inner life of elephants, their emotions, their intelligence, their bonds with one another. Here we find creatures not so different from ourselves, beings who feel and remember, who grieve and comfort, who live in families bound by love and wisdom. Elephants live in family groups, gatherings of related females and their young who travel together, eat together, rest together, and care for one another through all the challenges of life. At the center of each family group is a remarkable individual, the matriarch. She is the oldest female, the one who has lived the longest, seen the most, learned the most, and her knowledge is the family's greatest treasure. The matriarch remembers where water can be found in times of drought. She knows which routes are safe to travel, which areas offer the best feeding, which places should be avoided. Her memory stretches back decades, holding the accumulated wisdom of a long life. When decisions must be made, when the family faces uncertainty, they look to her. Her experience guides them through difficulties that younger elephants could not navigate alone. This is why the loss of a matriarch is so devastating to an elephant family. It is not just the loss of an individual, but the loss of irreplaceable knowledge. Years of learning, decades of experience, gone in a moment. The remaining elephants must muddle through as best they can, lacking the guidance that once led them so surely. But the matriarch's influence extends beyond mere guidance. She shapes the family in ways that might surprise you. Through chemical signals called pheromones, the matriarch can actually delay puberty in younger females of the herd. These pheromones, released into the air, are detected by the other elephants and trigger biological responses in their bodies. By delaying when younger females become reproductively mature, the matriarch helps ensure stability within the group. Too many females breeding at once would strain the family's resources and attention. The staggered timing allows the group to manage the demands of raising calves more effectively. It is a subtle form of social regulation, chemistry serving the needs of the community. And reproduction in elephants is a slow and careful matter. Female elephants enter estrus, that period when they can conceive, only every 4 to 6 years. This is an extraordinarily long interval compared to many other mammals. It means that elephant populations grow slowly, each new calf representing years of waiting, years of care, years of investment by the mother and the family. This slow reproduction makes elephants vulnerable. When populations are reduced by poaching or habitat loss, they cannot bounce back quickly. Each lost individual represents not just a single life, but years of potential offspring who will never be born. The mathematics of elephant survival are unforgiving, demanding patience and protection if these animals are to thrive. But let us dwell now on something more comforting, on the emotional bonds that hold elephant families together. For elephants are creatures of profound empathy, capable of recognizing and responding to the feelings of others in ways that seem remarkably human. When an elephant in the herd is distressed, others will come to offer comfort. They touch the upset individual with their trunks, those sensitive, expressive appendages that can convey so much. They wrap their trunks around the troubled one, press their bodies close, vocalize softly with gentle rumbles. It is consolation, pure and simple, one being offering comfort to another in a moment of need. Researchers have observed this behavior countless times, in many different contexts. A calf separated from its mother is comforted by aunts and older sisters. An elephant injured or ill receives attention and care from family members. Even in captivity, elephants have been seen comforting other elephants who are showing signs of stress. The impulse to help, to soothe, to be present for others in their pain seems deeply ingrained in these animals. And nowhere is this emotional depth more apparent than in how elephants respond to death. When an elephant dies, the other members of the family do not simply walk away. They stay. They linger near the body, sometimes for hours, sometimes for days. They touch the fallen elephant with their trunks, running those sensitive tips over the still form, as if trying to understand what has happened, as if saying goodbye. And then they do something extraordinary. They begin to cover the body with branches and dirt. They gather vegetation, break off boughs from nearby trees, and drape them over their fallen family member. They kick soil over the body. They create a kind of burial, a covering, a final gesture of care for one who can no longer care for themselves. Scientists are careful about using words like funeral or mourning when describing animal behavior. We cannot know exactly what elephants are thinking or feeling in these moments, but the behavior itself is undeniable. Elephants treat their dead with what appears to be reverence and grief. They do not abandon them. They honor them with ritual-like actions that serve no obvious survival purpose. Perhaps even more remarkable is what happens later, sometimes years later. Elephant herds have been observed revisiting the bones of their kin. They return to the places where family members died long ago, where only scattered bones remain. And there, they engage in behaviors that are difficult to interpret as anything other than remembrance. The elephants approach the bones slowly, quietly. They touch the skulls and tusks with their trunks, exploring them gently, carefully. They lift them, turn them, examine them. When researchers have placed bones from various elephants in an area, the living elephants show particular interest in the bones of their own relatives, suggesting they can identify who the bones belong to. This behavior hints at something profound. It suggests that elephants carry awareness of death, that they remember individuals who have passed, that something like grief or reverence persists across time. It suggests cultural transmission, the passing of death awareness from generation to generation. Young elephants learn from watching their elders how to behave around death, and they carry these behaviors forward. We are not alone in our experience of loss. We are not the only ones who remember those who have gone. Somewhere out there, an elephant is standing quietly beside old bones, trunk tracing the curves of a skull, remembering in whatever way elephants remember, feeling in whatever way elephants feel. Let this thought rest gently in your heart as we consider another aspect of elephant cognition. Elephants are among the very few animals who pass the mirror self-recognition test. This is a classic experiment in animal psychology, designed to determine whether a creature understands that the reflection in a mirror is itself. In the test, researchers place a mark on the animal's body somewhere that can only be seen in a mirror, typically on the face or head. Most animals ignore the mark or treat the mirror image as another animal. But a few species understand. They look in the mirror, see the mark, and then use their own body to investigate or touch the mark on themselves. This requires understanding that the reflection is not another creature but an image of oneself. Elephants pass this test. When marked on their foreheads, they use their trunks to reach up and touch the mark, guided by what they see in the mirror. They understand that they are looking at themselves. This places elephants among the most cognitively advanced non-primate animals on Earth, in the company of dolphins, magpies, and great apes. Self-recognition suggests self-awareness, a sense of being an individual distinct from others. It is a form of consciousness that we once thought belonged only to humans. But elephants share it with us, those great gray beings with their gentle eyes and questing trunks, aware of themselves as we are aware of ourselves. This cognitive richness extends to creativity as well, though here we must be careful in our interpretations. In captivity, some elephants have been taught to hold brushes in their trunks and apply paint to canvases. The resulting images can be surprisingly coordinated, with strokes that seem purposeful, patterns that seem intentional. Some see this as evidence of abstract creativity, of elephants expressing something internal through art. Others argue that these behaviors are trained rather than self-initiated, that the elephants are following cues from handlers rather than creating from inner inspiration. The truth likely lies somewhere in between, a testament to the elephant's remarkable ability to learn and coordinate complex movements, if not necessarily proof of spontaneous artistic expression. But whether or not elephants are true artists, their cognitive abilities are beyond question. They problem solve, they use tools, they communicate with nuance, they recognize themselves and others, they remember across decades. The mind inside that great skull is worthy of our respect and our wonder. Now let us turn to something more restful. Sleep. Even elephants must sleep, though they do so in ways that might surprise you. Elephants are among those animals that experience what scientists call unihemispheric sleep. This means they can rest one half of their brain at a time while the other half remains awake and alert. This ability, shared with some birds and dolphins, allows elephants to sleep while remaining vigilant against threats. In the wild, where predators might approach at any moment, being completely unconscious is dangerous. But with unihemispheric sleep, the elephant can rest and recover while still maintaining awareness of its surroundings. Elephants sleep relatively little compared to many other mammals, sometimes only a few hours per night, and often standing up. Their brief rest periods are divided between the two hemispheres of the brain, each getting its turn to rest while the other keeps watch. It is an elegant solution to the problem of sleeping in a dangerous world. And when elephants do rest, whether sleeping deeply or simply standing quietly, they often align themselves in a particular direction. Observations have revealed that elephants frequently orient themselves along a north-south axis when at rest. This is not random. Something is guiding them, orienting their great bodies to the magnetic field of the Earth. Scientists believe that elephants may have magnetite in their trunks, tiny crystals of magnetic material that act as an internal compass. This would allow them to sense magnetic north, to orient themselves with the Earth's magnetic field, perhaps to use this sense for long-distance navigation. Imagine the elephant resting in the moonlight, its body aligned with invisible lines of force that stretch from pole to pole. The same force that guides migratory birds, that orients sea turtles, may also be speaking to the elephant, whispering of direction and distance, providing a map that requires no landmarks, only the Earth itself. This is a fitting image on which to rest for a moment. The elephant, aligned with the planet, connected to forces that span the globe. It reminds us that we are all part of something larger, all connected to the Earth that holds us, all subject to forces we may not even perceive. As you rest now, you too are held by the Earth. Gravity gently presses you into whatever supports you. The magnetic field stretches around you, invisible but present. You are part of the same world that holds the elephants, the same planet that has witnessed their evolution over millions of years. Let your body align with rest. Let your mind find its own quiet direction. The elephants are sleeping, one hemisphere at a time, dreaming perhaps of water and family, of the feel of trunks intertwining, of the bones of those who have gone before. And you are here, safe and peaceful, drifting in the same night that wraps around the world. The family is together. The matriarch keeps watch. The young ones are tucked safely among the adults. And somewhere, an elephant touches its trunk to the bones of the beloved dead, remembering, feeling, being fully and completely alive in its moment of grief and reverence. We are not so different, you and the elephants. We feel, we remember, we love, we lose. We carry our dead with us in our hearts. And we find comfort in the presence of those who understand, who touch us gently in our moments of need, who stand beside us in the long night. Rest now. Let the bonds of family, whatever family means to you, hold you safe. The elephants rest, and so can you. All is well. All is love. All is peace. Breathe slowly now, letting each exhale carry away any remaining tension. You have traveled far with the elephants, learning of their bodies and their senses, their emotions and their bonds. Now we come to a chapter about beginnings and journeys, about the arrival of new life and the ancient paths that elephants walk across the land. Let these gentle facts carry you deeper into rest, like a calf carried along by the steady pace of its family. Of all the mammals on Earth, elephants have the longest pregnancy. The longest, 18 to 22 months pass between conception and birth, nearly 2 years of waiting, of growing, of preparation for the new life to come. In that time, a human mother would have given birth twice over. But for the elephant, the work of creating a calf cannot be rushed. Consider what must happen inside the mother's body during those long months. A creature must be built that will weigh nearly as much as a grown human at birth. Bones must form, organs must develop, that remarkable trunk must grow and become functional. The brain, which will one day hold decades of memories, must be wired with billions of connections. All of this takes time, patient time, the slow and careful work of creation. The mother elephant continues her life during this long gestation. She walks with her family, feeds, drinks, rests, travels. The calf grows within her, unseen but always present, a weight that increases month by month. The other females in the family know she is pregnant. They will help her when the time comes, will assist in welcoming the new life into the world. And when that time finally arrives, after nearly 2 years of waiting, the calf that emerges is remarkably large and remarkably ready for the world. A newborn elephant calf weighs between 90 and 120 kilograms. That is the weight of a full-grown adult human, yet it is only the beginning for an elephant. This substantial baby, covered in fine hair, wet from birth, takes its first breaths of air and begins almost immediately to find its feet. Within a short time of being born, often less than an hour, an elephant calf can stand. Those legs, so long and seemingly awkward, straighten and hold. The calf wobbles, sways, perhaps falls and tries again. But soon it is upright, and soon after that it can walk. It must be able to walk, for the herd cannot stay in one place forever. The calf must follow, must keep up, must become part of the moving family. This is why the long gestation matters. The calf is born not helpless and undeveloped, like a human infant, but ready to stand, ready to walk, ready to nurse, ready to travel. All those months of development have prepared it for the demands of life in a family that is always on the move. Beneath the skin of the newborn calf lies a layer of subcutaneous fat, padding that serves multiple purposes. It insulates the calf against temperature changes, keeping its small body warm during cool nights and protected during hot days. But this fat layer is also an energy reserve, a buffer that helps the calf survive the early weeks when nursing is still being established and the mother's milk supply is adjusting to demand. For the mother, too, this period is demanding. Producing milk for such a large calf requires enormous energy. The fat reserves she has built up during pregnancy help sustain her through this time of lactation stress. Both mother and calf draw upon their reserves, supporting each other through the challenging first weeks of the calf's life. But challenges pass, and soon the calf is growing stronger, more coordinated, more curious about the world. And as it grows, it begins to play. Play is essential to young elephants, a way of learning about their bodies, their abilities, their place in the social order of the herd. Watch a group of elephant calves, and you will see behavior that seems purely joyful. They charge at each other in mock attacks, lowering their heads, rushing forward, stopping just short of collision. They wrestle, pushing and shoving, testing their strength against one another. They chase and run, their small legs carrying them in circles around the patient adults. And then there is mud. Young elephants seem to find particular delight in mud. They slide down muddy banks, tumbling and rolling, coating themselves in wet earth. They splash in muddy pools, spray mud over their backs, wallow and roll until they are thoroughly covered. There is play in this, pure and simple, the joy of sensation and movement. But play serves deeper purposes as well. Through mock charges and wrestling, calves develop motor skills and coordination. They learn how their bodies work, what they are capable of, how to balance and move efficiently. And through these social games, they begin to understand hierarchy. Who is stronger, who gives way, who leads, and who follows. The relationships established in play will matter throughout their lives. The adults watch this play with patience, sometimes with what appears to be amusement. Occasionally they intervene if things get too rough. But mostly they let the young ones learn through doing, through the endless experimentation of play. It is education disguised as fun, preparation for adulthood hidden in joy. The bonds formed through play extend beyond immediate family. Elephants show remarkable cooperation not just with their own kin but with others as well. Herds have been observed aiding injured elephants who are not part of their family group, pushing them upright when they have fallen, helping them stand. They shield vulnerable calves from predators, forming protective circles around the young ones, presenting a wall of large bodies to approaching lions. This cooperation beyond kinship speaks to something deep in elephant nature. They seem to recognize need and respond to it, regardless of whether the individual in need is a close relative. It is altruism in action, helping without expectation of return, caring for others simply because they need care. Let this image rest with you. Elephants helping elephants, the strong supporting the weak, the experienced guiding the young. There is comfort in knowing that such cooperation exists in the world, that even among animals, compassion can extend beyond the boundaries of family. Now let us follow the elephants as they walk, as they journey across their landscapes on paths that have been traveled for generations. Inside the mind of the matriarch, and indeed inside the minds of all experienced elephants, there exists something remarkable. A mental map of their home range, detailed and comprehensive, built over years of exploration and travel. This mental map contains more than just geography. It holds the locations of water sources and feeding areas, the places where danger lurks and the routes that are safe. It records where villages and farms have grown, where roads have been built, where humans are likely to be found. And it is constantly updated, adjusted as the world changes, refined with each new journey. When elephants travel, they do not simply wander. They navigate. They make decisions based on their internal maps, choosing routes that will take them efficiently to resources while avoiding hazards. An elephant family might detour around a village that has grown too close to their traditional path. They might alter their timing to avoid crossing a road during busy hours. They might remember that a particular area was dangerous last year and choose a different route this season. This is sophisticated cognition, the ability to hold a complex model of the world in memory and use it for planning and decision-making. It speaks again to the intelligence of these animals, to the remarkable minds that guide those great bodies across the land. And the distances they travel are extraordinary. Savanna elephants may trek up to 50 kilometers in a single day, searching for water and food, following the rhythms of the seasons. Over the course of a year, some populations cover 11,000 kilometers or more. 11,000 kilometers of walking, of placing one great foot in front of another, of steady, patient travel across the landscape. These journeys follow ancestral routes, paths that have been used by elephants for generations, perhaps for centuries. The matriarch learned these routes from her own mother, who learned them from her mother before that. Knowledge passes down through time, a living inheritance of navigation and survival. As elephants walk these ancient routes, they shape the land itself. Their great bodies press trails into the earth. Their feet compact the soil. Vegetation is pushed aside. Branches are broken. The landscape is marked by their passing. Over time, these elephant paths become permanent features of the terrain, visible from above, etched into the land. And other creatures use these paths. Animals who could not create such trails themselves follow in the elephant's footsteps. Antelope and zebra, lions and hyenas, birds and insects, all benefit from the roads that elephants have made. Even humans have used elephant trails, following the paths of least resistance that elephants discovered long ago. Some of our own roads and railways follow routes that were first walked by elephants, their ancient wisdom invisibly guiding our modern infrastructure. But human infrastructure also creates barriers. Railways cut across traditional elephant routes, separating habitats, blocking the paths that elephants have walked for generations. This could be a tragedy, and sometimes it is. But in some regions, something remarkable has happened. Elephants have learned to use human-made underpasses, tunnels built beneath railways specifically to allow wildlife to cross safely. The elephants approach these underpasses, perhaps warily at first. They must understand that this strange tunnel will lead them safely to the other side, that they will not be trapped, that it is a path like any other. And they do understand. They learn. They pass through, emerging on the far side, their journey uninterrupted. What is particularly touching is that many elephants choose to use these underpasses at night, when humans are less likely to be present. They have learned that darkness offers safety, that the quiet hours are the best time to cross. They adapt their behavior to avoid us, to move through a shared landscape while minimizing contact with the species that poses the greatest threat to them. This adaptability shows itself in other ways as well. As elephant habitats shrink and natural food becomes scarcer, some populations have learned to supplement their diet by raiding crops. This brings them into conflict with farmers. But the elephants have developed strategies to reduce the risk. They raid at night. Under cover of darkness, elephant groups move into fields, consuming the energy-rich crops that humans have planted. They are careful, avoiding people whenever possible, retreating before dawn. It is not ideal for elephants or for farmers, but it is survival. The elephants are adapting to a changing world, using their intelligence to find new ways to meet their needs. There is something bittersweet in this. The elephants are clever enough to learn our patterns, to avoid us, to navigate the obstacles we have placed in their world. But they should not have to. They should have enough wild food, enough space, enough room to walk their ancient paths without fear. Yet they persist. They adapt. They learn. They continue walking as their ancestors walked before them, as their descendants will walk after them if we give them the chance. The paths stretch on through forests and savannas, under railways and around villages, followed by calves who will one day be matriarchs, who will one day teach the routes to their own daughters. As you rest now, imagine yourself walking one of these ancient elephant paths. The ground beneath your feet has been pressed by countless footsteps before yours. The way is clear, the direction certain. You do not need to forge a new trail. You only need to follow, to trust the wisdom of those who came before, to let the path carry you forward. Your own journey through this night is simpler still. You need only rest, only breathe, only let sleep come when it is ready. The elephants are walking somewhere as they always are, as they have been for millions of years. And you are here, still and peaceful, following the gentle path towards sleep. The calves are playing in the mud. The mothers are watching with patient eyes. The matriarch is remembering the way. And all across the land, trails stretch toward the horizon. Invitations to journey, promises of water and food and family waiting at the other end. Rest now. The path is clear. The night is kind. And somewhere, an elephant calf takes its first steps, wobbling, steadying, beginning its own long journey through a world that is waiting to be explored. Settle deeper now into the quiet of this moment. Your body knows how to rest. Your mind knows how to let go. There is nothing required of you, nothing demanded. Only this gentle journey continuing, only the soft accumulation of facts about elephants, building like leaves falling slowly onto still water. Let each new piece of knowledge arrive without effort, without the need to hold on. Simply receive, and let the words carry you further towards sleep. We have spoken of how elephants move through their world, how they travel ancient paths, how they navigate with mental maps built over lifetimes. But elephants do more than simply pass through their environments. They transform them. They are architects of the wild, shapers of landscapes, creators of habitats that benefit countless other creatures. When an elephant encounters a tree that it wishes to feed upon, it does not always browse delicately on the leaves within reach. Sometimes it pushes, sometimes it pulls, sometimes using the tremendous strength of its body, its trunk, its tusks, it uproots the tree entirely. What was standing becomes fallen. What was vertical becomes horizontal. What was shading the ground now lies upon it. This might seem destructive, but the result is creation. Where the tree once stood, there is now a clearing. Sunlight reaches the ground. Grasses can grow where before there was only shade. A small open space appears in what was dense woodland, and in that space, life flourishes. Antelopes graze in clearings that elephants have made. Birds find food and nesting opportunities in the changed vegetation. Small mammals thrive in the new mix of habitats. The diversity of life increases because the elephant has rearranged the landscape, has open spaces that allow different species to coexist. Across larger areas, this tree-uprooting behavior helps maintain the balance between forest and grassland. Without elephants, Many African savannas would gradually transform into woodlands as trees spread and shade out the grasses. But elephants push back against this process. They keep the grasslands open. They maintain the mosaic of habitats that supports the incredible diversity of African wildlife. This is why elephants are called keystone species. In an arch made of stone, the keystone is the central piece at the top that holds everything else in place. Remove the keystone and the arch collapses. Remove elephants from an ecosystem, and the entire structure of that ecosystem begins to change. Other species suffer. Habitats shift. The balance that existed for thousands of years is disrupted. Elephants shape more than vegetation. They create and maintain waterholes. Their great feet trample the edges of pools, deepening them, preventing them from silting up. Their digging, which we spoke of earlier, creates wells that other animals depend upon. Their dung fertilizes the soil and spreads seeds. Their paths become highways for countless creatures. Everything the elephant does ripples outward, affecting the lives of animals and plants that may never directly encounter an elephant at all. A bird nesting in a tree that grows in an elephant-created clearing. A frog breeding in a pool that elephants have maintained. A plant growing from a seed that passed through an elephant's digestive system. All of these creatures owe something to the elephants, whether they know it or not. There is comfort in understanding these connections. The world is not a collection of isolated beings, but a web of relationships, each strand supporting the others. The elephant's role in this web is profound, its influence extending far beyond its own massive body. And when we protect elephants, we protect not just one species, but entire ecosystems, entire communities of life that depend on what elephants do. Let your thoughts rest on this interconnection as we turn now to a different aspect of elephant life. The life of male elephants, and the remarkable state called must that transforms them periodically throughout their adult years. Male elephants live differently from females. While females remain with their family groups throughout their lives, males eventually leave, usually in their early teenage years. They may travel alone or in loose associations with other males, living on the edges of elephant society, occasionally encountering female groups but not remaining with them permanently. But every few years, something changes in the adult male elephant. His body enters a state called must, a period of heightened aggression and reproductive readiness that can last for weeks or even months. During must, the male is transformed, driven by biological imperatives that alter his behavior and his body chemistry in profound ways. The temporal glands, those structures on the sides of the head that we mentioned when discussing temperature regulation, become highly active during must. They secrete a potent cocktail of pheromones, chemical signals that broadcast the male's condition to every elephant within range. This scent can carry for several kilometers, announcing to females that a male in prime reproductive condition is nearby and warning other males to stay clear. The secretion from the temporal glands during must is visible as a dark, oily streak running down the side of the face. Males in must are unmistakable, marked by these streaks and by their behavior. They walk with a distinctive swagger, their heads held high, their movements charged with intensity. Inside the male's body, testosterone levels surge to extraordinary heights. During must, testosterone may be 40 times higher than normal levels. 40 times. This flood of hormone drives the male's aggression and his single-minded focus on reproduction. He becomes dangerous, unpredictable, willing to challenge other males, willing to take risks he would normally avoid. Must is demanding. The male often eats little during this period, devoting his energy to finding and competing for females. He may lose significant body weight. When must ends, he is often exhausted, depleted, in need of recovery. But must is also essential for reproduction. Females prefer to mate with males in must, and males in must are more likely to successfully father offspring. The cycle repeats every few years throughout a male's adult life. Periods of must, intense and transformative, followed by longer periods of normal behavior. It is a rhythm as natural as the seasons, as unavoidable as the rising and setting of the sun. But let us turn from the intensity of must to something quieter, something about how elephants manage the stresses of their lives. All animals face stress, and elephants are no exception. Droughts, predators, human encroachment, competition for resources. The challenges of life accumulate, and the body must respond. When an elephant experiences significant stress, its adrenal glands become hyperactive, releasing hormones similar to cortisol, the stress hormone that humans also produce. These hormones prepare the body for emergency, prioritizing immediate survival over long-term functions. One of the functions that gets suppressed during periods of high stress is reproduction. This makes biological sense. When times are hard, when survival itself is uncertain, it is not the ideal moment to invest energy in creating new life. Better to wait to survive the crisis and to reproduce when conditions improve. This is why elephant populations under stress may show reduced reproduction. It is not just about direct mortality, but about the subtle effects of stress hormones on the body's readiness to breed. When we protect elephants, when we reduce the stresses they face, we support not just their survival, but their ability to reproduce and build their numbers. And here is something remarkable about how elephants conserve energy even in the best of times. Their metabolic rate, the rate at which their bodies burn fuel to sustain life, is about 50% lower than what scientists would expect for an animal of their mass. Half of what the equations predict. This is a significant difference, one that has real consequences for how elephants live. A lower metabolic rate means less food is needed to sustain the body. In harsh habitats, where food may be scarce for extended periods, this slower burn rate allows elephants to survive on less. They can weather droughts and dry seasons better than a higher metabolism animal of similar size would be able to. It is another adaptation for survival, another way that the elephant's body is tuned for the challenges of its environment. The great engine runs slowly, efficiently, consuming fuel at a measured pace that can be sustained even when times are lean. Now let us consider something that scientists find particularly fascinating about elephants. Something that may one day benefit human medicine. Elephants rarely get cancer. This is surprising because cancer is, in part, a numbers game. Every time a cell divides, there is a chance of a mutation that could lead to cancer. The more cells an animal has, and the more those cells divide over a lifetime, the greater the statistical chance of cancer developing. Elephants have far more cells than humans. They live for decades, their cells dividing countless times. By simple probability, they should have extremely high rates of cancer. But they do not. Cancer is rare in elephants, far rarer than in smaller, shorter-lived animals. The reason lies in their genes. Elephants possess multiple copies of tumor-suppressing genes, the genetic instructions that help cells detect and repair damage, or trigger cell death when damage is too severe to repair. Where humans have one copy of a key tumor-suppressing gene called P53, elephants have 20 copies. 20 chances to catch and correct errors that might lead to cancer. Scientists are studying these elephant genes intensively, hoping to understand how they provide such effective cancer protection. Perhaps this understanding will one day lead to new treatments or preventive measures for human cancer. The elephants, simply by being what they are, may help save human lives. Let this thought settle peacefully. The same creatures who shape ecosystems and walk ancient paths may also hold secrets that heal. The natural world offers gifts we are only beginning to understand. Now we turn to smaller details, the quiet specifics of the elephant's body that reveal even more of evolution's patient craftsmanship. Consider the elephant's toenails. Each foot bears these thick, protective structures, growing continuously throughout the elephant's life, just as our own fingernails grow. But elephant toenails have a particular shape that serves a purpose. They curve inward toward the center of the foot. This curvature provides traction when the elephant walks on slippery surfaces. Like mud, the curved nails grip the ground, preventing slips and slides that could injure such a massive animal. In male elephants, the toenails often show more wear than in females. This is because males engage in dominance fights, shoving matches and sparring sessions where they push against each other with tremendous force. Their feet dig into the ground, their nails scrape against earth and rock, and the constant abrasion wears them down more quickly than in the gentler daily activities of females. And here is a small detail that speaks to the quiet maintenance of the elephant's body. Earwax. It is not a glamorous topic, but it is a real part of elephant biology, and it has its own interesting adaptation. In most mammals, including humans, earwax can harden over time, becoming dry and compacted. But elephant earwax remains soft and pliable year-round. This soft wax traps dust and insects, protecting the delicate inner ear from debris and intrusion. Yet it remains loose enough to allow airflow, preventing the problems that might arise from completely sealing the ear canal. It is a small thing, earwax, but it works perfectly for the elephant's needs. Another example of how every part of the body has been refined, adjusted, optimized for the elephant's way of life. Finally, let us consider something about the elephant's neck and spine that might surprise you. Despite the shortening of the neck that occurred during elephant evolution, elephants retain an unusual feature. They have extracervical vertebrae, those bones of the neck that connect the head to the rest of the spine. This extra vertebra might seem like a minor anatomical detail, but it has a practical effect. It enables sharper head turns than you might expect from such a large animal with such a massive head. The elephant can swing its head more quickly and more completely than its body size would suggest. This matters during feeding, when the elephant might need to scan for threats while its attention is focused on food. A quick turn of the head, a rapid scan of the surroundings, and the elephant can assess its environment without moving its entire body. The extra vertebra provides flexibility where flexibility is needed, allowing rapid responses to potential danger. Imagine the elephant now, feeding peacefully, its trunk selecting choice vegetation, its ears slowly fanning. And then a sound. The great head swings, faster than you might expect, eyes scanning, ears focusing. Is there danger? In an instant, the elephant has assessed the situation, has gathered the information it needs. And then, finding nothing threatening, it returns to feeding, calm and unhurried once more. All of these details, large and small, come together to create the elephant, the keystone species that shapes ecosystems. The male transformed by must, the body that conserves energy and resists cancer, the toenails and earwax and vertebrae, each playing their part. It is a complete being, a whole creature, perfectly adapted to its life. As you rest now, let yourself appreciate the wholeness of things. Your own body is similarly complete, similarly adapted, similarly composed of countless details that work together in harmony. You do not need to understand every detail for it to work. You do not need to control every process. Your body knows what to do. It has evolved over millions of years to know what to do. Trust in that wisdom as the elephant trusts in its own. Rest as the elephant rests between its journeys. And know that somewhere out there in the grasslands and forests, elephants are doing what elephants do, shaping their world, living their lives, being perfectly what they were made to be. And you too are what you were made to be, a being at rest, a mind growing quiet, a body settling into peace. Let sleep come now if it is ready to come. The elephants will still be there when you wake. The world will still be turning, and all will be well. Let your body sink even deeper into rest now. The journey continues, but it requires nothing of you. You need not move, need not strive, need not do anything at all. Simply be here, breathing slowly, listening if you wish, or letting the words become a soft murmur that carries you towards sleep. We are exploring the hidden workings of the elephant's body now, the quiet systems that operate unseen, keeping these great beings alive and well. We spoke earlier of must, that intense period when male elephants are transformed by surging hormones, when testosterone floods their bodies at 40 times normal levels. Such a dramatic hormonal surge creates challenges for the body, and one of those challenges involves heat. High hormone levels generate heat, and heat can be damaging to certain sensitive tissues. In most mammals, the testes are located outside the body cavity, held in a cooler environment to protect the developing sperm from heat damage. But elephants are different. Their testes are internal, held within the body, where temperatures would normally be too warm for healthy sperm production. This seems like it should be a problem, especially during must when the body is running hot with hormonal activity. Yet elephants have solved this problem with elegant internal engineering. A system called countercurrent vascular exchange keeps the testes cooler than the surrounding body tissue. Blood vessels carrying warm blood toward the testes run alongside vessels carrying cooler blood away. Heat transfers from the warm blood to the cool blood, effectively refrigerating the incoming supply before it reaches the sensitive reproductive tissues. This countercurrent exchange works constantly, but it becomes especially important during must, when the male's body temperature rises and the hormonal surges could otherwise cause damage. The testes remain protected, cooled by this internal heat exchanger, allowing reproduction to proceed normally even under the intense physiological conditions of must. It is a hidden system, invisible from the outside, working quietly within. The elephant walks and feeds and interacts with others, and all the while, deep inside, this careful temperature regulation continues. The body takes care of itself, managing challenges that the elephant never consciously considers. Now let us turn to something equally hidden but perhaps easier to appreciate: the elephant's mouth and the remarkable substances that protect it. Every day, as we have discussed, elephants consume vast quantities of vegetation. Much of this food is gritty, covered in dust and sand, full of small particles that could harbor bacteria. Swallowing all this sandy vegetation poses risks. Bacteria from the soil could colonize the mouth, causing infections, leading to illness. But the elephant has a defense. Glands located under the jaw secrete saliva with antimicrobial properties. This specialized saliva combats oral bacteria, keeping the mouth healthy despite the constant influx of gritty, potentially contaminated food. Every mouthful is bathed in this protective fluid. The antimicrobial compounds attack harmful bacteria while allowing beneficial microorganisms to remain. It is a chemical defense, working constantly, requiring no conscious effort from the elephant. The food goes in, the saliva does its work, and health is maintained. Consider how many meals an elephant eats in a lifetime. Thousands upon thousands of mouthfuls of grass and leaves and bark, much of it sandy, all of it passing through a mouth that remains healthy year after year. Those underjaw glands, secreting their antimicrobial saliva, are unsung heroes of the elephant's daily life. Let your thoughts drift now to the opposite end of the elephant, to the tail. It may seem a humble appendage compared to the magnificent trunk, but the elephant's tail has its own purposes, its own adaptations, its own quiet usefulness. The tail grows wiry hairs that can reach remarkable lengths, up to 1 meter long in some individuals. These coarse, strong hairs form a natural fly swatter at the tail's end. As the elephant stands or walks, the tail swishes back and forth, sweeping across the hindquarters, driving away the flies and biting insects that would otherwise torment the animal. Insects are a constant presence in the elephant's world. Flies seek out moisture, attracted to eyes and ears and any wound or damp patch of skin. Biting insects feed on blood, leaving itchy welts and potentially transmitting disease. The tail's swishing motion discourages these pests, keeping them from settling, making life more comfortable for the elephant. But the tail does more than swat flies. Communicates mood. The way an elephant moves its tail can signal its emotional state to other elephants and to careful observers. A relaxed tail hanging loosely suggests calm. A tail held stiffly or swishing rapidly might indicate agitation or excitement. Flicks and whips of the tail carry meaning, subtle signals in the elephant's body language. Watch an elephant for a time, and you begin to read these signals. The tail moves, and you understand something about what the elephant is feeling. It is a small window into the animal's inner state, a visible expression of invisible emotions. Speaking of emotions, let us consider something that has touched the hearts of many who have witnessed it. Elephants appear to cry. When an elephant experiences emotional stress, its tear glands produce excess fluid that streams visibly down its cheeks. It looks like weeping, like tears of grief or distress. We must be careful about projecting human emotions onto animals. The fluid from tear glands serves practical purposes, lubricating and cleaning the eyes. But researchers have noted that elephants produce more of this fluid during times of emotional stress, when they are frightened or grieving or separated from loved ones. The visible streams running down the face coincide with situations where we would expect emotional distress. Whether elephants experience emotions exactly as we do, we cannot say with certainty. But the correlation between stress and these visible tears suggests something real is happening inside the elephant's mind. When an elephant stands beside a fallen family member, when those visible streams appear on its face, it is difficult not to see grief. It is difficult not to feel that we are witnessing sorrow expressed in the only way an elephant's body can express it. There is something deeply moving about this. We are not alone in our capacity for sorrow. Other beings feel loss, feel pain, feel the absence of those they love. The elephants cry, or something very like crying, and in that crying we see a reflection of ourselves. Let this thought rest gently with you as we turn to something more mechanical, yet equally wondrous. The elephant's nasal passages, hidden within that great skull, serve purposes beyond simply channeling air to the lungs. The nasal sinuses of elephants are expansive, large air-filled spaces within the bones of the skull. These sinuses serve as resonance chambers, amplifying the low-frequency calls that elephants use to communicate over long distances. When an elephant produces one of those deep rumbles, the sound resonates within these chambers, gaining power and depth before emerging into the world. This is why elephant calls can carry so far, why they can reach other elephants kilometers away. The sound is not just produced but amplified, given resonance and reach by the architecture of the skull itself. The elephant's head is, in a sense, a musical instrument shaped to project sound across vast distances. But these sinuses serve another purpose as well. The air of the savanna is often dry, especially during the dry season when dust fills the wind and moisture is scarce. As air passes through the elephant's nasal passages, the sinuses help humidify it, adding moisture before the air reaches the delicate tissues of the lungs. This dual function, amplifying sounds and moistening air, is another example of the efficiency of evolution. The same structures serve two different purposes, working together seamlessly in the daily life of the elephant. Every breath, every call, benefits from these expansive sinuses hidden within the skull. Now let us consider something tender, something about how elephants recognize their families. We have spoken of their extraordinary sense of smell, of the thousands of genes devoted to detecting scents. But there is a specific aspect of this that deserves attention. Elephants possess inguinal glands, located in the groin area, that release scents unique to each family group. These are not individual scents but family signatures, chemical markers that identify which elephants belong together. When elephants from the same family meet after a separation, they engage in prolonged contact, trunks intertwining, bodies pressing close. During this contact, they share these family-specific scents, confirming their relationship, reaffirming their bond. This kin recognition through scent is crucial in elephant society. Families may separate and reunite. Individuals may wander and return. The inguinal gland sense provides certainty, allow elephants to know without doubt that they are among their own people. It is a chemical signature of belonging, a scent that says home and family and safety. Imagine the reunion of elephants who have been apart. The excitement, the trumpeting, the trunks reaching out. And beneath the visible joy, the quiet confirmation of scent, the family signature recognized and accepted. These are my people. I am home. As we move deeper into the night of this journey, let us consider how elephants prepare their bodies for the challenges of changing seasons. The elephant's life is shaped by the cycle of wet and dry periods, times of plenty and times of scarcity, and the body must adjust to meet these different demands. Elephants experience seasonal shifts in their thyroid hormones, those chemical messengers that regulate metabolism. During the wet season, when food is abundant, thyroid hormone levels adjust to favor fat storage. The elephant's metabolism shifts, encouraging the body to build up reserves, to store energy in layers of fat that will be needed later. Then, when the dry season comes, when food becomes scarce and the elephant must rely on stored reserves, the hormones shift again. Now the body draws upon those fat stores, releasing energy to sustain the elephant through the lean times. It is a rhythm synchronized with the seasons, a metabolic dance that has kept elephants alive through countless cycles of plenty and want. The elephant does not consciously decide to store fat or burn reserves. The thyroid hormones handle this, responding to cues from the environment, adjusting the body's metabolism automatically. The elephant simply eats when food is available and endures when it is not, trusting in a system that has worked for millions of years. Now consider the muscles that power the elephant's movements. We have spoken of the trunk with its thousands of muscles, of the legs that carry the elephant for kilometers each day. But not all muscles are the same. There are fast twitch muscles designed for bursts of speed and power, and there are slow twitch muscles designed for endurance and sustained activity. Elephant trunk and leg muscles contain high proportions of slow twitch fibers. These fibers are optimized for exactly the kind of activity that elephants engage in most often. Long walks across the landscape, hours of reaching and pulling vegetation, sustained activity that continues throughout the day, day after day, year after year. Slow twitch fibers are efficient. They use oxygen effectively. They resist fatigue. They can work for extended periods without exhausting themselves. An elephant foraging for 16 or 18 hours needs muscles that can sustain that effort, that will not tire and fail when there is still more walking to do, more food to gather. This is why elephants can cover such vast distances, why they can spend most of their waking hours in constant gentle activity. Their muscles are built for endurance, for the long haul, for the patient journey rather than the sprint. And throughout all this activity, the elephant's body must manage temperature, must prevent overheating during the warm hours and preserve warmth during the cool ones. We have touched on this before, but let us return to it now, for it is a system of remarkable sophistication. The blood vessels in the elephant's skin can oscillate, expanding and contracting independently of the heartbeat. This allows precise control over how much heat is released through the skin at any given moment. When the elephant is too warm, the vessels dilate, bringing more blood to the surface, radiating heat away. When the elephant needs to conserve warmth, the vessels constrict, keeping blood and heat deeper within the body. This oscillation happens continuously, adjusting to moment-by-moment changes in temperature and activity level. It is a fine-tuning mechanism, far more precise than a simple on-off switch would be. The elephant's temperature remains stable even as external conditions fluctuate, even as the sun rises and sets, even as the elephant shifts from rest to activity and back again. And the skin itself participates in cooling through a process we have mentioned before, but which bears repeating. Elephant skin loses water at rates comparable to amphibians, those moist-skinned creatures like frogs and salamanders. This water loss through the skin carries heat away as it evaporates, providing cooling without the need for sweat glands. It is an ancient solution, one that connects elephants to distant evolutionary relatives. The skin breathes, the moisture evaporates, the body cools. It happens constantly, automatically, requiring no conscious effort. The elephant simply lives its life, and the skin takes care of the rest. And finally, we return to something essential, something that underlies all the elephant's activity: the circulation of blood. We have spoken of the elephant's slow heartbeat, its massive heart weighing up to 20 kilograms. But we should remember one more remarkable fact about elephant circulation. Elephants maintain blood pressure up to 3 times higher than what scientists would expect for an animal of their size. This elevated pressure is necessary to pump blood effectively up to the brain, held high above the heart in that great elevated head. Without this pressure, the brain would not receive adequate oxygen, and the elephant could not function. The entire cardiovascular system is adapted to support this high pressure. The heart pumps powerfully. The vessels are structured to handle the force. The body has evolved to use this pressure safely, without the damage that such high pressure might cause in other animals. It is another example of whole-body adaptation, of systems working together to solve the unique challenges of being an elephant. As you rest now, let your own body relax into its own quiet maintenance. Your heart beats without your guidance. Your blood flows without your attention. Your temperature is regulated, your cells are renewed, your breath continues. All of this happens while you rest, while you sleep, while you let go of conscious control. The elephants are resting somewhere too. Their great hearts are beating slowly. Their blood is flowing. Their skin is cooling. Their muscles are recovering from the day's work. All the hidden systems are doing what they do, maintaining life, preparing for tomorrow. There is nothing you need to do, nothing you need to control. Simply rest as the elephants rest. Trust your body as the elephant trusts its body. And let sleep come, gently and naturally, like the slow approach of evening across the savannah. The night is quiet, the stars are turning overhead, and somewhere in the darkness, an elephant stands peacefully, its tail swishing slowly, its breath coming easy, its great body at peace with the world. Rest now. All is well. All is quiet. All is as it should be. Sleep well and good night.